coming election. I know you're working very hard. I watch you. You're right there. He's out there working. He wants to see that young woman win, and the Attorney General, who I endorsed, et cetera, et cetera. Glenn Youngkin. Thank you very much, Glenn. Thank you for being here. For many years, Americans have paid the highest prices anywhere in the world for prescription drugs by far, many times the amount that other countries are paying is ridiculous. Upon taking office, I signed an executive order to make sure that Americans pay no more for prescription medications than the lowest price or the same drug in other locations in developing nations. Today, AstraZeneca is committing to offer all of their prescription medications to Medicaid at most favored nations prices. In other words, the lowest price anywhere in the world, that's what we get. A move that will save American taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars each year. And I tell the story, Glenn, that in my first term, I had the honor of being the first president in 28 years to lower drug prices during the course of the year. And we actually did. And I was so proud of myself. We called a news conference. I announced it. It was 1/8 of 1%. 1/8 of 1%. Now drug prices are going to be going down 100%, 400%, 600%, 1,000% in some cases. But for 1/8 of a cent, Bobby, think of that. I was so proud because for 28 years, nobody had done it. And now it's, I think back to that, I said I shouldn't have had that news conference. But it's just true. I was the only one that did it, but it was not very much. And now we're going to get, in some cases, 1,000% reduction. This is going to have a huge impact on everything from Social Security to Medicare to Medicaid, anything where they're buying any prescription drugs. It's going to have an incredible impact. It's going to lower itself greatly. AstraZeneca will also list many of their most popular drugs online at TrumpRx.gov. TrumpRx. I don't know why they put the name Trump. I did not tell them to do it, but I'm honored to let them do it. That's true, actually. That heavily reduced most favored nations cost. Americans can expect discounts, and as I said, it could be in many cases way over 100%. And as an example, one particular drug that's hot, very hot, 654% on inhalers, COPD and asthma, as well as certain diabetic medications. They're going to be averaging about 654% reduction in price. You believe that one? The Democrats will say, well, he should have gotten more. It's crazy. In addition, all medications AstraZeneca introduces to the American market going forward will also be sold at these heavily discounted rates. Furthermore, AstraZeneca will invest $50 billion in the United States over the next 5 years for research and development of new drugs and to onshore manufacturing facilities across the country, like the new plant that broke ground yesterday in Charlottesville, Virginia, where the governor attended. They had a tremendous group of people attending. It's going to have 3,600 jobs just to begin with. And that's going to be a fantastic plant. I saw a picture. It's going to be the best, right? You can't get any better. This is a tremendous victory for Virginia and for American patients and for everything, for the country. It's an amazing company to have coming over to the United States in such a big way. That's going to be a big part of the company. Presidents have promised for years to lower the cost of health care, but my administration is actually the first to do it and do it substantially, do it at numbers that nobody thought, even I thought, were not possible. When you think of it, if you got a 1%, 2%, 5%, that's good. You did a good job. We're talking about 100, 200, 300, 500, 700, in some cases, some big, big numbers. And the largest drug companies in the world are working with us to make this a reality. And so I look forward to being at your opening of that incredible facility. I hear something, and it's in a great location, Glenn, right? One of the beautiful locations. So I'd now like to ask Secretary Kennedy to say a few words, followed by Dr. Oz, Pascal, Governor Youngkin, and we'll take some questions afterwards. Would anybody like to have some questions? Yes? Oh, I'm shocked. Okay, we'll take them right after, okay? Bobby, please.
Big dreams start small. From getting your domain to creating your website, email, and online security, we've got you covered. You don't need to be a tech expert. You just need a starting point. Your brand starts here with GoDaddy.
छुट्टियां खत्म, स्कूल की तैयारी, नई क्लास में सीखने की बारी।
इस साल भी स्कूल में अच्छी हाजिरी और हाजिर दिमागी के लिए देते रहें नेस्ले बुनियाद आयरन प्लस, जो है 3 गुना ज्यादा मौसर, ताकि हमारे बच्चे पीछे न रहें। नेस्ले बुनियाद आयरन प्लस, बेहतर जिंदगी की मजबूत बुनियाद।
Thank you, Mr. President. I talked about this a little yesterday in the cabinet meeting, but it's worth repeating because it shows this historical achievement as really monumental. When I was in my confirmation process, virtually every Democratic senator showed me their preoccupation with making sure that we completed, that I was going to continue to get a commitment from me to continue the IRA drug price negotiations. That the IRA required the Democrats, while President Biden was in the first year of the IRA, to negotiate 10 drug prices down. And then I was supposed to, my first year, negotiate 15 and 15 every year thereafter, and that was their plan. The Democrats claimed that they had a 22% reduction, and that was a great success. When we actually looked at that, when I came into the agency, we realized we were actually paying more for 8 of the 10 drugs. The 22% reduction was off of list price. And Medicare ended up paying more for 8 of the drugs, equal for the 9th, and about a 2% discount on the 10th drug. So that was the plan, and that's what they did. We are continuing the IRA negotiations, but thanks to the president's leadership, we have achieved something extraordinary here, which is a dream that he's had for 20 years because he's the common sense president. He saw something 20 years ago. He learned that we were paying 3, 4, 5, sometimes 10 times for the same drug as they were paying in European countries. Some of these drugs were manufactured in facilities in New Jersey and then sold for 1/10 the price in Great Britain, in London or Paris, that Americans were being charged for them here. He saw that this was unfair. Every Democratic president, every Republican president has said that this was the gold standard. This is what we needed to do. Nobody's been able to change it. And when we came in, I have to say I was pessimistic about doing MFN. Dr. Oz was pessimistic. Our staff, John Brook and Chris Klump and the other people we brought in were all pessimistic. The president saw something that we didn't see, which is we had leverage. And that came through Howard and the tariffs, and we had extraordinary leverage to craft these deals. So last week we had Pfizer in, which is one of the biggest American pharmaceutical companies. Today we have AstraZeneca in with Pascal Soriot, which is one of the biggest European pharmaceutical companies. And the president asked us to do 3 things. 1, to get MFN prices. 2, to not bankrupt these companies. He understood that America has to be the center for innovation. The drug industry needs to innovate, that it's critical for its bottom line, it's critical for the health of the American people. And he asked us also to make sure that those companies would keep their promise to reshore this industry. For national security purposes, for our economy, it's critical. These companies are making these drugs in the United States. We were able to achieve all those things, and partially with the visionary help of Pascal, where is he? Of Pascal Soriot, who understood that innovation and the business doesn't work if everybody is not pulling the horse, if everybody doesn't have the skin in the game. The whole world was riding on our shoulders and riding on our dime. 70% of pharmaceutical revenues comes from this country. We only have 4.2% of the world's population. And we were paying for 80 or 90% of the innovation here. And the rest of the world was a free rider. And Pascal understood that that's not fair, and it's not a good, sustainable, long-term business model. And he came to the table. He was one of the first leaders to come to the table. I want to thank him for his vision, for operating with us in good faith. And this is an extraordinary deal. Not only that, but as the president just pointed out, he is also reshoring this industry here. He has 19 facilities already operating in this country. He has this other facility in Albemarle County that Dr. Oz went with Governor Youngkin and broke ground on yesterday. He has a second facility that is under construction in Kendall Square in Boston, another facility in Rockville, Maryland, and a fourth facility in Copper, Texas, right outside of Dallas-Fort Worth. And he's got plans for building many more in this country, thanks to the president's leadership, to the tariffs, and to the common sense the president has demonstrated in his own commitment to make drug prices lower for hardworking Americans. So I want to thank the president for your visionary leadership. I want to thank Dr. Oz for his part, and Marty McCary in negotiating this deal. Dr. Heidi Overton, Theo Merkel, Chris Klump, and John Brooks, who all played critical parts in the negotiation. And of course, Howard Lutnick, who was the key to these negotiations. Who do we bring up now? Dr. Oz.
Thanks, Secretary.
Put more swag in my outfit. Pretty pizza, please. Change Coke to grape soda. Make the chairs blue. Add a chihuahua and a beach resort background. Let's do a fuzzy bucket hat. Say it, edit it. Voice commands with AI Edit Genie.
Live real in every shot.
क्या करो?
सेट करो खास चाय बना के तुम्हारा मूड
समझते हैं एक दूसरे को, इसीलिए बने हैं एक दूसरे के लिए। जैसे चाय को समझे सिर्फ नेस्ले एवरीडे।
From Nestle.
Oh, Pascal, I get to introduce Pascal, which I'll do with great joy and honor. So the world is watching as President Trump tries to make peace in every place he can go. But at the same time, President Trump is putting peace into the hearts of Americans and bringing peace of mind to them, especially Americans who cannot afford their medications. And just to put a number on this, as he releases us from the bondage of paying 3 times more for the exact same product made in the same factory, in the same pill box, in the same instruction manual overseas, rather in this country than we pay overseas, it creates an opportunity for us because, Mr. President, you're turning the art of the deal into the art of the heel. And that is something that you're going to witness today. And it's the second, we have more coming, but this is a very important one because I want to set the stage here. And Ms. Secretary, you're too modest. Secretary Kennedy did have a vision to push hard on this. He understood we could give the right medications to the right people at the right time. And there is nothing more maha than giving folks life-saving medications in a timely fashion so you prevent illnesses and treat other ones that have already occurred. You save lives that way. That literally is what was on the line as we began negotiating these. So let's set the stage. Where are we right now? Why this order? Last week in this very room, President Trump welcomed the CEO of Pfizer, and that company, a leading U.S. pharmaceutical company, pledged to provide exactly what the president promised. Massive discounts to allow us to have most favored nation drug pricing in this country so we don't allow our people to pay more than folks overseas. And this was unthinkable even 6 months ago, 7 months ago when we came into office. And Americans now have the ability to do that, but we needed to prove it was scalable. So we went to AstraZeneca. which is the leading pharmaceutical company, a leading company in the entire world, but a massive opportunity in this march to MFN, a march to most favored nation drug pricing. And to have this message land clearly, we needed to make sure that the president's demand for fair drug pricing was heard all around the globe. And I actually think the single most powerful tool we had was the president, because people take him seriously. And some of the things that they were hearing overseas were alarming them enough that they began to realize the jig was up. So let's talk about the deal specifically. What are John Brooks, if you give me my Vanna White, please. John back there's Theo, Vince, Heidi were parts of the team. There are other members of the team I'll speak of in a second. So these are the 5 deal points. This is what Trump RX, by the way, which just launched, TrumpRx.gov, which was a unanimous name, by the way, Mr. President. He was not involved in picking the name, but it was not a difficult one to land on. We thought it had a catchy element to it. All primary care medications sold by AstraZeneca are going to be available on Trump RX, which means no more gaming, no more middlemen. Starting early next year, when you go to the website, you'll be able to see a marketplace. We're not selling the drugs. We're just making information available to everyone so you go to the right place to buy the right medication. Second, drugs for lung diseases are discounted massively, and that's over here on this line. The president highlighted 650%. They're significant discounts, and these are medications. We just picked the ones for lung disease and one for metabolic syndrome, diabetes, but there are others that are included. We have most favored nation pricing for everyone who is on Medicaid in this country. That's why Governor Youngkin is able to do backflips with his nimble 6'6" physique, because for governors, this is a massive problem. If Medicaid prices continue going up, it crowds out other social services, which he'll speak to. We also have MFN for all new prescription drugs. Mr. President, by the time this term is done, 95% of all drugs sold in America, branded drugs and generic, will be available at most favored nation drug pricing. Americans are going to benefit if the prices drop abroad. So Secretary Lutnick is going to make sure that if we get better prices for these companies from our partner countries overseas, the American people see those benefits, and there's going to be onshoring of manufacturing. And as has been mentioned, I stood with Governor Youngkin and Pascal Soriot as we broke ground yesterday in Charlottesville, Virginia, a massive $4 billion facility. That's the hard hat, Mr. President. I know you like construction, so that was all I could bring back. But there was a lot of remarkable energy. And here's what that event really does. It sends a signal. It sends a signal for all countries around the world to stop freeloading off American innovation. It's done. It's not going to happen anymore with this president. And if you aren't picking up your end of the bargain, then you're going to be welcoming a lot of more companies to leave your shores and allow us to welcome them into our shores as they open up manufacturing facilities here. And for all the pharmaceutical companies out there, we're talking to all of you, pick up a shovel. This is a great place to build a facility, as AstraZeneca has shown us, and I think it has a wonderful opportunity in the future as well as this country continues to support the innovation Secretary Kennedy spoke about, because we're not compromising that at all. We're just getting fair prices for the American people. To the team, tough negotiations, Mr. President. You know how hard they can be. You can't get there without world-class negotiators, and we are blessed by individuals to work with the AstraZeneca team who are killers, head-to-head. And why? Because talented people out of the private sector are coming into government to serve this president in a generational opportunity that they feel in their heart will make a difference. John Brooks is part of that team. Chris Klump, Inma Hernandez, numerous other folks contributed as well. But we're open for business. And if you want a great position and a patriot, like the folks who negotiated these deals, please consider coming with us, because the president has made it clear that you will make a difference in government. Finally, I want to thank Pascal Soriot. Pascal is an interesting, almost enigmatic individual. He's a CEO of AstraZeneca. He is born in France, Australian citizen, knighted in Great Britain, running their largest pharmaceutical company. So you figure out the lineage. But one thing I know is a very, very smart man who came here early on, took the president seriously, and he recognized the inherent unfairness of the European model of global freeloading off our innovation. He appreciated the challenge, and he wanted to be part of the solution. So Pascal, take it away.
Say goodbye to Slack, because chat's here and it's inside ClickUp. Everything you need in chat is here, like your DMs and even your channels. But there's a ton more you can do. Chat conversations can lead to so many new ideas, and now you can turn those ideas into action with just a couple of clicks. Any chat message can be turned into a task like magic. Simply select the message you want to turn into a task and click Create Task. You can create the task details manually, or you can create with AI and have the task name, details, and assignees created automatically based off context from the conversation, just like magic. ClickUp Chat is available now. Check it out and thank me later.
Meet Hostinger AI Website Builder, the easy way to launch your online store. Just describe what you need in the prompt box and let AI generate your e-commerce website. Sell anything you want, from physical goods to expert service. Simply upload your products, have AI write the perfect descriptions, and launch your store in no time at all. Control your online business from one convenient dashboard. Zero transaction fees, 100% profit. Let your store spread your story. Start selling online with Hostinger AI Website Builder today.
Thank you so much. So, President Trump, it is really a pleasure to see you again since I had a chance to meet you last time you visited the UK for your state visit. I know the King actually kept you late during the night, during your visit, late up at night. And I must thank you actually for returning the favor. I can tell you you've kept me up at night and my team as well. But it has been really worth it. It's been worth it because today I'm really excited to announce AstraZeneca's commitment to your vision for a healthy America. Great leadership is about having an ambitious vision that can energize people, and you appoint a very talented team that can deliver on this. Your vision is exactly that. It is about lowering the price of medicines for American patients while ensuring that America remains a global powerhouse of innovation in biopharmaceuticals. And that's not easy to do. We need to keep inventing the technologies and the products that will cure disease. But you actually gave us a key, equalization. That's an important word. Yeah. You've assembled a remarkable team, actually, that together with us found a way to deliver on your vision. I would like to thank you, Mr. President, for your collaborative and your trusting approach throughout the discussion that led to this agreement. In addition, I would like to thank Secretary Lutnick, I'd like to thank Secretary Kennedy, Dr. Oz, and the CMS team, in particular John Brooks, who is here today, but also Chris Klump, for their very straightforward approach and their collaborative work that, together with my great team at AstraZeneca, enabled us to deliver this agreement today. It is an agreement that allows a number of wins. First of all, a great win for American patients. This agreement will deliver improved access to our medicines at a lower cost. We've addressed the 4 points that you raised in your letter, ensuring Americans do not pay more than patients in other wealthy countries. So it's a big win for patients and the healthcare system as a whole. But it's also a big win for the economy and for taxpayers, because it supports rebalancing the cost of innovation across wealthy nations. For too long, America has shouldered a disproportionate portion of the world's R&D cost for breakthrough medicines development. That imbalance is not sustainable. It had to change. And equalization levels the playing field, with wealthy nations contributing their fair share to the cost and the risk associated with biopharmaceuticals R&D. And I would say it's also a big win for state budgets because these Medicaid price reductions will have an immediate impact on Medicaid budgets and provide substantial relief to state budgets. Finally, your vision also secures America's strong position in life sciences and the onshoring of critical innovations and manufacturing. As a company, we will invest $50 billion in manufacturing and in R&D. We already have a large presence in the United States. We have 19 sites, and we employ 25,000 people around the country. They're all developing the new generation of medicines. But we'll continue to increase our presence in this country. We're expanding our manufacturing footprint in Texas. We're building our second large R&D center in Kendall Square in Boston. We are building a cell therapy manufacturing plant in Rockville, Maryland, and there's more to come. So a lot of investment over the next few years. I want to say that I appreciate very much Secretary Lutnick granting us a 3-year tariff exemption to localize the remainder of our products. Most of our products are locally manufactured, but we need to transfer the remaining part to this country. And also for your great support to convince also other wealthy countries to share the cost of pharmaceutical innovation. It is an important part of this agreement, rebalancing and the cost around the world. Yesterday showcased our commitment to the United States with this $4.5 billion investment in the beautiful Commonwealth of Virginia to manufacture what we call API, active ingredients for our medicines, but also antibody-drug conjugates that are such a critical part of the future treatment of cancer care, what is called smart chemotherapy, targeted chemotherapy. I want to thank Dr. Oz for joining us for the groundbreaking ceremony near Charlottesville, together with Governor Youngkin. And I actually love your AstraZeneca hat. I know you wanted to bring a shovel, but didn't make it to this beautiful room. I have to say it has been a great pleasure to work with Governor Youngkin and his team, in particular Secretary Segura, on this investment. Like you, President Trump, they are deal makers that move at the speed of business. And it's very important for us company to be able to work with people who understand who we are and move very fast. Our new facility will be a great example of Virginia supporting domestic production of medicines for America, enhancing national security in pharmaceutical supply, but also creates thousands of highly skilled jobs. Governor Youngkin gave me a beautiful Virginia flag that we will proudly fly alongside the American flag in front of our new facility. So AstraZeneca's commitment to the United States is very strong, and this agreement ensures we'll make an even bigger difference for American patients. So, Mr. President, thank you again for welcoming me in this beautiful office and for making this moment possible. Thank you so much.
Pascal. Thank you very much.
Big dreams start small. At GoDaddy, we help you take that first step and every step after. From getting your domain to creating your website, email, and online security, we've got you covered. You don't need to be a tech expert. You just need a starting point. GoDaddy gives you the tools, the expert support, and the push to make it real. Your brand starts here with GoDaddy.
Over to you, Glenn.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank everyone for celebrating this landmark moment. This landmark moment is not just a moment to announce a new way to buy less expensive life-saving medicine, but it is a step function change in the way that Virginians and Americans can access medicines. And it is a step function change because historically there was an opaque pricing mechanism that had so many people standing between the manufacturers and the patients that no one knew really what it cost. Well, now we can go direct to consumers. And that's what Trump Rx is all about, going direct to consumers, where a consumer can come and find that particular medication that they need and go direct to the company and get the best possible price. Second of all, the most favored nation clause is a groundbreaking moment. It's a groundbreaking moment because, as you've heard, that American customers have been paying 3, 4, 5 times what international customers have been paying. That is just not fair. And Mr. President, I want to thank you for simply recognizing that America must come first. And Americans deserve the best pricing, not the worst. It changes everything for a state. In Virginia, we have $1.5 billion a year of pharmaceutical expenditure under our Medicaid plan. $1.5 billion a year. We save 10%, 20%, 30%. All of a sudden, 150, 300 million, 450 million in savings can be realized by a state. Now, I firmly believe that's the people's money, and it should go back in tax relief. But think about the change that that enables for a state as they manage their health care expenditures. Finally, Mr. President, you have driven a reshoring of critical supply chains that no one thought could happen. The industries that everyone thought were lost are now coming home, and with pharmaceutical manufacturing and active pharmaceutical ingredients particularly coming back to America, it changes everything. It's an economic moment for us. Yes, $4.5 billion into the Virginia economy, and that will in fact translate into $3 or $4 of extra economic impact for every dollar that is spent. 3,600 great paying jobs. But it's even more than that. This is a national security moment. And what you've just heard is one of the leading pharmaceutical companies in the world is choosing America, and yes, Virginia, to invest nearly $5 billion to build the most critical manufacturing for the future of America's health. That's not just a single example. It's happening all over. And in fact, in Virginia, Mr. President, we've been blessed with nearly $10 billion of commitments to build new pharmaceutical manufacturing in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. And therefore, I believe this is a moment to celebrate investment, but more importantly, to celebrate breakthroughs for American citizens to get access to life-saving medicines at costs that they deserve, because they're all made here. Mr. President, you and your cabinet have been amazing. As a governor, I have found that the cooperation with every one of your cabinet members, and sir, yes, you, has been beyond compare that I could ever imagine. I want to thank you for helping us make Virginia great again, too. Thank you.
So we have, at this moment, I think we just cracked $18 trillion in commitments and investments in our country. As an example, the last administration was far less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We're at plus $18 trillion for 8 months. There's never been anything like it in history, in any country, anywhere in the world. So that's great. But maybe for purposes of this, more importantly, we're going to bring drug prices down at numbers that nobody ever thought possible, Glenn. I think nobody ever even thought it was possible. So we're going to be doing a lot of business, but we're going to be also numbers that when you're 2, 3, 4, 500% less. I just noticed one of them over here, 654% discount. 654. The laggard is 98%, right? 9, is that what? Wow, 96, 230%, but 654, and we have some that top that by a lot. So it's really going to be incredible, and that's going to be so good for Medicaid and Medicare and everything. Frankly, for your life, it's going to be so good. So nobody ever thought they were going to see. And don't let Democrats take the credit, because they'll try. They'll say, "Oh, we worked so hard on it." They didn't work hard. They did. They obstructed. They actually did the opposite. So that's really more important than even the tremendous investments being made in our country. But think of it, we cracked $18 trillion with a T, trillion dollars, and frankly, $1 trillion for 4 years wasn't that bad. He did less than $1 trillion, but we did that in a period of 8 months. So it's pretty record-shattering by many trillions of dollars. Any country, no matter what country you're talking about, nobody's done numbers like that. So thank you all for being here. Do you want to have a couple of questions? Yeah, please.
Mr. President, one on this, if I could, and one on China, if I may. Okay. First on this, could you have brought these pharmaceutical companies to the table without that 100% tariff that you imposed?
No, it's not 100%. You're talking about China might be 100%.
No, I'm talking about the 100% you imposed on pharmaceuticals for that sector.
I would never have been able to bring them. Now, I'm not sure that Pascal would like to say, but behind the scenes he did say tariffs were a big reason he came here, and also the fact he loved Virginia. He liked this guy. He liked me. I think the November 5th election was a very important date. We had a good election, and that was important. But yeah, he's here. A lot of. I can speak for almost everybody that's here. Most of them are here because of tariffs, because you have to understand he has no tariffs. If you build in this country, there are no tariffs. So.
सेरेलैक का स्पेशल न्यूट्री ब्लेंड, जिसमें है नन्हे पेट की बड़ी ग़िज़ा।
An actuary is a risk analyst. They will predict the financial risks that a corporation or an individual will face in the future. They will predict that risk and think of ways to mitigate it.
Let me ask you about China, if I could. Just want to confirm, have you canceled your meeting with President Xi? And
no, I haven't canceled, but I don't know that we're going to have it. But I'm going to be there regardless, so I would assume we might have it. But, they hit the world with something that really is not anything that people are going to do. And it was shocking. I can tell you, Howard and I and Todd, we all, Scott, we were all speaking about it before. And we said, where did that come from? It was just, that was out of the blue, right? Out of the blue, they came up with this whole import-export concept, and nobody knew anything about it.
So if they roll back their export controls, the new announcement, would you roll back?
Look, we're going to have to see what happens. That's why I made it November 1st. We'll see what happens, yeah.
Mr. President,
Go ahead, please.
What else besides software could be on the table in terms of export controls?
A lot more. I mean, you have a lot more. We have airplanes. We have airplane parts. You remember that from last time. And we were just surprised that China. I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and they did that. This is not something that I, instigated. This was just a response to something that they did. And they didn't really aim it at us. They aimed it at the whole world. The whole world is subject to it. So I thought it was very, very bad. But we have many things, including a big thing is airplanes. They have a lot of Boeing planes, and they need parts and lots of things like that, Steve.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to accept the Gaza deal, and what would be your message to the Knesset when you speak to them?
Well, he wanted it. It's been a long time. He's been fighting a long time. He's been fighting hard. He wanted it. It's a great deal for Israel, but it's a great deal for everybody, for Arabs, for Muslims, for everybody, for the world. And as you know, on Monday the hostages come back. They're getting them now. I mean, they're getting them now. They're in some pretty rough places under earth. They're in some pretty rough places where only a few people know where they are, in some cases. So they're getting them, and they're also getting the bodies, approximately 28 bodies. And some of those bodies are being unearthed right now as we speak. I mean, they're working on it right now as we speak. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. No, he was very happy with it. And I can tell you that I saw Israel dancing in the streets, but they were dancing in Qatar and Saudi Arabia and UAE and many, many countries. I saw Egypt. They were dancing. I'll be going to Israel. I'll be speaking at the Knesset, I think, early on. And then I'm also going to Egypt. They were terrific. But all of the countries were great. Indonesia was great. Jordan was great. They were all great. Everybody wants this deal to happen.
What happens in Gaza the day after the hostage release?
Day after what?
The day after the hostage release, what happens there then?
Well, hopefully you're going to have great success I call it everlasting success. I think you will, too. I think you're going to have tremendous success, and Gaza is going to be rebuilt. And you have some very wealthy countries, as you know, over there. And it would take a small fraction of their wealth to do that, but and I think they want to do it. And we're also setting up, as you know, a board of peace. It's called the Board of Peace. I don't know if that's the final name, but the word peace is definitely in there. They have asked me if I chair it. We'll make sure things go well.
And how confident are you that the ceasefire will hold?
I think it'll hold. Yeah, I think it'll hold. They're all tired of the fighting. Don't forget, you had October 7th, which was a horrible day, 1,200 people killed. But Hamas has lost 58,000 people. That's big retribution. That's big retribution. People understand that. So, no, I think they're all tired of fighting. And this really gives the whole Middle East, this is beyond Gaza. Gaza is very important, but this is beyond Gaza. This is peace in the Middle East. And it is a beautiful thing. It's a term that you and I have been hearing since we were very young, right? And now we have a chance of really having that. And as you know, most of the countries have passed all these resolutions. Every country is there. Iran came in. I was very happy to see that. I was very honored that Iran came in. They said they support it. Russia came in. President Putin, he supports it fully, very fully. So I was happy to see even countries that weren't necessarily involved in the process, they all support it. I don't know of anybody that doesn't. And I've never seen happier people than many of these places, not just Israel. Many of these places, they're all dancing in the streets. I've never seen anything like it.
Mr. President,
Okay, go ahead, please, in the back.
Thank you. What guarantees did you give Hamas to persuade them that Israel will restart the bombing campaign once the hostages have been exchanged?
What did I do with respect to them? Well, you know, I spoke a little bit tough, and that's what would happen. I mean, you have to speak tough. That's a tough world. That's a tough, as they say, neighborhood. And they're tough people. They're very tough people, and they're smart people. They're good negotiators. They have a lot of things going. They put that to good use. They're going to be very, very successful. But they knew the retribution would be tremendous, unsustainable. It would have been unsustainable. It would have been complete obliteration, and they didn't want that. And nobody wants it at this point. They want to get on with rebuilding the entire Middle East. It's not only Gaza. It's going to be the entire Middle East. They're going to be able to live in peace. Now, we have some little hot spots, but they're very small. You know the ones I'm talking about. They're very small. They'll be very easy to put out. Those fires are going to be put out very quickly. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. Talking about the Middle East still, going to the phases that come after this first phase, is there a consensus on the additional points in your plan, or are the details still being fine-tuned?
I think there is consensus on most of it, and some of the details, like anything else, will be worked out, because you'll find out that when you're sitting in a beautiful room in Egypt, it's easy to work something out, but then sometimes it doesn't work from a practical standpoint. So certain little things, but for the most part, there's consensus, yes.
Do you intend to hash that out when you're in Egypt?
I might, yeah. I mean, I'll be there because I'll be going to, I'll go to Cairo. I think that's where we're going, as opposed to the place of the signing. And we have a lot of leaders from all over the world coming too. They've been invited. And then I'm coming back, I believe it's Tuesday night, for Charlie Kirk, a friend of mine, a friend of all of ours, a friend of a lot of the people right here. And we're giving him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest honor you get outside of the Congressional Medal of Honor. One's military, one's civilian, but it's the greatest honor. And Erica, his beautiful wife, is going to be here, and a lot of people are going to be here. So, it's not easy for me to get back. It's a very quick trip, but I'll be making 2 major stops, and then I'll be on the plane trying to get back in time for Charlie. They're going to have a great celebration at the White House, in the East Room of the White House.
Put more swag in my outfit. Pretty pizza, please. Change Coke to grape soda. Make the chairs blue. Add a chihuahua and a beach resort background. Let's do a fuzzy bucket hat. Say it, edit it. Voice commands with AI Edit Genie.
Live real in every shot. Vitamin C, goodness of fruits, or great taste. Nestle Fruta Vital. All is well that starts well.
From Nestle.
Russell Vogt said the reductions in force have begun related to this shutdown. How many layoffs have you authorized for this first round, and from which agencies?
And it will be Democrat-oriented, because we figure, they started this thing, so they should be Democrat-oriented. It'll be a lot, and we'll announce the numbers over the next couple of days, but it'll be a lot of people, all because of the Democrats. I mean, they want to give $1.5 trillion to people that came into the country illegally. More important than that, because we all have a big heart. We want people to be taken care of. But, we have 0 people coming in. You know that, Glenn, right? That's a pretty impressive number, even for a successful governor. But we've had, for the last 4 months, 0 people coming in illegally. They're coming in, but they're coming in legally. They're coming in through a process that's really a really good process right now because we want people to come in, but they have to come in legally. So what we're doing is as these different groups come due, we're going to make a determination. Do we want them or not? And I must tell you, a lot of them happen to be Democrat-oriented. These are people that the Democrats wanted that in many cases were not appropriate. We fought them at the time, and it was ultimately signed in. And some of these people, these are largely people that the Democrats want. Many of them will be fired. Yes, please, behind.
The Nobel Peace Prize was announced this morning. Your thoughts?
Which one?
The Nobel Peace Prize. Your thoughts?
Look, including a very big one, and I'm not sure, when you say big, it's certainly, I think, to the mind of most, the most important deal ever made in terms of peace. But the one we just signed, it's been signed, sealed, and it's going to start taking place now. It's already started. Monday's going to be a very big day when the hostages come back. But I made 8 deals, transactions of wars. One was 31 years going on. 10 million people were killed. One was 34 years. One was 36, 37. One was 10. One was just starting. 2 were just starting, actually, but they were well on their way. In the case of India and Pakistan, 7 planes were shot down. It was a bad one. And I did it largely through trade. I mean, that one, numerous of them. I talked tariffs. I said, look, if you're going to do that, we're going to put very big tariffs on your country. And they were both great. They stopped fighting, and they were 2 nuclear powers. So, they're all big. They're every one of them big. You take a look at the Congo. You take a look at the Congo and Rwanda. 10 million people killed over a long period of time. Got that one solved. We did a total of 8 as of this 2 days ago. I would have said 7, which I did say, but the other one was signed up, sealed. As you know, Israel signed it just now. They signed it and they approved it today, their parliament. And it's a great honor to be involved with so many. So the person who actually got the Nobel Prize called me and said, I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it. A very nice thing to do. I didn't say then give it to me though. I think she might have. She was very nice, and I've been helping her along the way. They need a lot of help in Venezuela. It's a basic disaster. So, and you could also say it was given out for 24, and I was running for office in 24. All of the transactions that we did in terms of closing, but. There are those that say we did so much that they should have done it, but I don't take. I'm happy because I saved millions of lives, many millions of lives. And speaking of somebody that saves lives, don't ever play golf with it because Keegan Bradley just walked in, one of the greatest golfers in the world, the captain of the Ryder Cup. And man, I'll tell you, you did a good job. You almost came back. I turned on. I said, I sort of turned off. It wasn't looking good, and then. A little while later, I turned on. I said, you guys might make that would have been the miracle. What a great job. He's respected by those golfers like nobody. And I just want to compliment you, Keegan. That was an incredible job. Right here, we have a lot of unfriendly fake news media. And he's not used to that. He's used to getting only good publicity, I think, Howard. These are all golfers. But you're some golfer, I'll tell you that, and some leader. Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you, Keegan.
Mr. President, on China.
Yeah, please.
On immigration, ICE are making arrests, targeted arrests at courthouses in New York City and around the country.
Criminals, arresting criminals, that's right. Yeah, go ahead. I'm happy about it. I want them to arrest criminals. And if you take a look at D.C., a year ago, D.C. was our great capital was a very unsafe place. You know that. Some of you were mugged and talk openly about it. Some of the media was mugged. But right now, D.C. is one of the safest places in the whole country. The restaurants are booming. They're opening up new restaurants. The restaurants are all closing. Now you can't get into a restaurant. They're opening up new restaurants. It took 12 days for us. We sent in not politically correct military. We sent them in based on merit. We won the case in the Supreme Court. Everything now is based on merit. Our country was founded on things based on merit. Like Keegan Bradley is not going to be playing golf if he wasn't a great player. If he shoots lower scores, there's no more merit system than that one, Keegan, right? If you miss a putt, they don't say, oh, that's okay, let's take it again, do they? No, it's based on merit. Everything's based on merit. And we're back to the merit system. And when they saw that military is all about merit. They're big, strong people that they're patriots too. And you take a look at D.C., and now we're in Memphis, and Memphis was really crime-ridden. It was terrible. A lot of people being killed. And they say in 12 days, they can't even believe how much better it is. And it'll take probably a month over there, and we're heading to Chicago because we want to save Chicago. Do you know they had over 4,000 people killed in Chicago over a short 4,000 people, and I have to watch this slob of a governor stand up and say that, well, everything's okay, we've got it under control. If they had 4,000 people murdered over a very short period of time, there's not a city in the world, I don't believe, that can claim, you hear so much about different, I won't, embarrass anybody, like by saying Mexico City or by saying anywhere in Afghanistan. There's no place like that. And then I have to listen to the mayor who's got a 5% approval rate, maybe less. He's an incompetent man. And the governor's an incompetent guy. He's a guy that was thrown out of his family business like a dog. And I know his family very well. And now he's a governor. And when I watch him trying to say that it's okay, we have crime under control, I lost 4,000 people over a very short period of time.
Big dreams start small. From getting your domain to creating your website, email, and online security, we've got you covered. You don't need to be a tech expert. You just need a starting point. Your brand starts here with GoDaddy.
Say goodbye to Slack because chat's here and it's inside ClickUp. Everything you need in chat is here, like your DMs and even your channels. But there's a ton more you can do. Chat conversations can lead to so many new ideas, and now you can turn those ideas into action with just a couple of clicks. Any chat message can be turned into a task like magic. Simply select the message you want to turn into a task and click Create Task. You can create the task details manually, or you can create with AI and have the task name, details, and assignees created automatically based off context from the conversation, just like magic. ClickUp Chat is available now. Check it out and thank me later.
I believe it's like 7,000 people were shot, but didn't die. But 4,000 people died. And then he gets up and talks about how it's not a problem. Or Portland, Oregon. I mean, every time I look at that place, the place is burning down. There's fires all over the place. When a store owner, there are very few of them left, but when a store owner rebuilds a store, they build it out of plywood, and they don't put up storefronts anymore. They just put wood up, because they know it's going to be ripped down. And then I hear how wonderful it is. It's not wonderful. It's a disaster. That's almost an insurrection, that place. So we put our people in there, and they do the job, and they've really done the job. And the beautiful thing is we've done it. 12 days we had this place safe, and now it's, I would say within a month, it was beautiful. And it continues to be. That was 3 months ago. I'll tell you, D.C. now is one of the hottest places, just like this country. We were a dead country, and you've heard me say it 100 times. We were a dead country. King of Saudi Arabia said it. Others say. The Emir of Qatar said it. Many. UAE said it. The leader, great leader, UAE, all great leaders. They said effectively the same thing. 1 year ago, we had a dead country. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. I just want to thank everybody, and I want to, in particular, thank AstraZeneca. What a great company you have. What a company you've built. You've been there a long time and done some job. It's an honor to have you. I assume you're going to build, so it's $4.5 billion for a plant. That's a pretty big plant, isn't it? I was going to say, could he make it a little bit more? Well, we have a couple of them where they're going to spend $65 billion on one plant, AI. All I know is it's, AI is based on information. I hope they're right about information. I don't know. You got to make a lot of money there's got to be a lot of information out there, but that seems to be pretty hot. But we have a lot. We're leading the world on information on AI, as you know, by a lot. It's not even close. So we're doing a job. And I want to thank everybody, but in particular, Pascal, thank you very much. It's a great honor. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Have a good time.
Thank you, Press. Thank you, Press. Let's go. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Press.
Feel the most at home. At home. Electrolux for better living.
बिजनेस में खर्चों पर कड़ी नजर रखनी पड़ती है, इसीलिए बैंक अल हबीब करंट प्लस अकाउंट खोला।
मुफ्त चेकबुक, डेबिट कार्ड, बैंकर्स चेक, ई स्टेटमेंट, ऑनलाइन बैंकिंग, अल हबीब मोबाइल और नेट बैंकिंग, SMS अलर्ट्स और कम से कम बैलेंस की कोई शर्त नहीं। मुल्क के कोने कोने में फैला हुआ ब्रांचेस का वसी नेटवर्क।
खर्चा कम, सहूलत ज्यादा।
बैंक अल हबीब, रिश्ता भरोसे का।
Great to have you again. We've seen you a couple of times today, but I'm thrilled to sign a very historic executive order to massively accelerate pediatric cancer research and harness the extraordinary potential of artificial intelligence to fight this terrible disease. We're going to hook up the artificial intelligence with all of the other things that we have at hand, and we're going to come for answers. And these young children who are just really, some are absolutely better and others are getting better. You're all going to be better very soon. So they won't even need it, I don't believe. I want to thank Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who we see a lot of lately. You've been really active. You've been very active. Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, who's so fantastic, and I guess we reached a deal with Harvard today, so we'll see how that. All you have to do is paper it, right, Linda? Just
yes, sir.
Paper it out. It'll be great, though. It's going to have to do with something that's very important to everybody. CMS Administrator Mehmet Oz, FDA Commissioner Marty McCary, Director of the National Institute of Health, Jay Bhattacharya. Is that good, Jay? That's pretty good. Right? I'm getting better.
That's perfect.
I'm getting better. Science and Technology Advisor Michael Kratsios, AI and Crypto Czar David Sachs. You're doing great, David. As well as a friend of mine, Stephanie McMahon, and her incredible husband, Triple H. You all know Triple H. I'm not going to fight that guy. He's one of the greatest. I also want to thank all of the brave young people who are with us today, and they've gone through a lot, but it's really coming out very good. And I just gave them a beautiful coin, and we're going to save that coin, right? A beautiful coin. In 2019, I was proud to launch the Childhood Cancer Data Initiative, and I think Stephanie was a big factor, right, Linda? She was a big factor as to what we're doing right now.
Absolutely.
Which invested $50 million a year into pediatric cancer research, and today, in line with recommendations made by Secretary Kennedy and the MAHA Commission, we're doubling that investment, adding another $50 million to Childhood Cancer Data Initiative. We're doing that immediately. And we have a lot of money coming in with the tariffs. We've never had money like this coming in. We're a rich country again. We were a dead country 1 year ago, and now we're the richest country. We're hot. We're a hot country. So it's an honor to do that. In honor of all of you, we're doing that, okay? With this order, I'm also directing the federal government to fully utilize artificial intelligence to supercharge pediatric cancer research. It's pretty amazing what's happening. For years, we've been amassing data about childhood cancer, but until now, we've been unable to fully exploit this trove of information and apply it to practical medicine. Using cutting-edge AI, we will empower scientists and researchers to discover new treatments, cures, and prevention strategies. AI can also make groundbreaking trials and therapies, and it's just going to be so accessible to everybody, families all across the country. So it's going to be amazing. What's happening is amazing. And we have more AI. We're leading in AI. We're leading China by a lot. We're leading everybody by a lot. They're creating their own energy. We let them build their own energy plant because we don't have the energy. Nobody does to feed them. The amount of energy just the AI needs coming into this country is double what we have right now. So we're letting them go out and create their own energy plants and their own electricity. And they're doing it. We're giving them permits to build electric plants. They're becoming sort of a utility. Maybe they'll do better with being a utility. Who knows? They'll do better with being a utility than they will being AI. What do you think of the chances that they... I hope I'm wrong about that, or they made a bad bet, right? So anyway, but I want to just say that we're going to defeat childhood cancer once and for all, and I'd like to ask Stephanie to say a few words. She's a very special person and very, very much involved in this. Thank you very much, Steph.
My mother's making me step
That's
forward.
right. Your mother, she'll do that.
Well, Mr. President, thank you very much. You've already acknowledged this incredible team here, and all of these people standing behind me were inspired by the story of a little boy named Connor Mahalik. He was a little boy who didn't want to hug me because he gave choke-out hugs. He booed his favorite nurse when she came to give his chemo, and he always worried about his dad because his dad was Connor's best friend. Connor was a WWE fan who I met after one of our big events, the Royal Rumble. You could tell he was sick. He had a big scar that was running up the back of his neck and a lump on his head, but you would never know it from his personality. He told me about the t-shirt that he was wearing that was dragging on the ground because WWE superstar Sheamus, who's 6'5", had given it to him. Underneath that was his Daniel Bryan t-shirt, and underneath that was his Skylanders t-shirt because that was his favorite toy. And as I stood up from my aforementioned chokeout hug, Connor's dad told me that he didn't have long to live. And I didn't want to believe that. I kissed him goodbye on his soft little cheek, and when he looked back at me, I made an unspoken promise to fight for him and kids just like him. Kids shouldn't even know what cancer is, let alone have to face it. And this incredible team believes that too. This executive order makes kids with cancer the first focus of AI innovation across healthcare in America. If there is one thing in the world that could bring us together, please let it be our children. Because I can almost guarantee, if your child was diagnosed with cancer, you wouldn't care what party their doctor belonged to. You would just want the best. And President Trump is doing just that, enabling that every child with cancer gets the best care possible. And we couldn't be more grateful.
Thank you, Steph.
Thank you,
Great
sir.
job. Thank you very much. She's done that before, hasn't she? Great job. Bobby, please.
Today, President Trump signed an executive order that makes an historic promise. We will harness America's innovation in artificial intelligence to find cures for pediatric cancer. We stand here today because of Stephanie McMahon Levesque never wavered in her 11-year commitment to give every child a future free of cancer. She proves how one person's courage can change what is possible. Cancer is now the leading cause of chronic disease-related death in children, and its incidence has risen by more than 40% since 1975. We cannot accept that. We must act with urgency. The MAHA strategy report released earlier this month directs HHS to focus on research that harnesses AI to uncover causes, identify risks early, and take action in childhood and young adulthood to prevent cancer. Now, this executive order directs the MAHA Commission, working with our nation's top science and technology leaders, to deploy AI to transform cancer care and research. We will accelerate progress in the Childhood Cancer Data Initiative that President Trump launched in 2019, and that means building stronger data systems, using AI to decode complex biology, designing better clinical trials that deliver faster, more effective treatment for kids. The order doubles federal investment in the Child Cancer Data Initiative with an additional $50 million just this year. NIH will expand research while the private sector and universities will bring their best tools to the table. Together, we will ensure that every innovation, every breakthrough goes to work for our children. The order guarantees that AI will be integrated into HHS interoperability networks. We will make electronic health records and claims data work for patients and researchers. We're already doing that, and always with parents in control of their child's health information. No family should have to fight cancer with outdated tools or without access to the very best science. For too long, families have fought childhood cancer while our systems lagged behind. President Trump, thank you for your leadership in changing all that. This executive order is about action, unlocking cures, empowering families, and giving every child the chance to grow up healthy and strong. With American innovation and leadership, we can make our children healthy again.
Bobby, do they know why there's quite an increase that's taken place over the last number of years? Do they know why that? Do they have any idea why that's happening?
We are doing that research, and Jay Bhattacharya can talk about that. We're doing that research now for the first time. We're focusing on that, in particular colon cancers and these cancers that never affected children before. And suddenly are epidemic in our children, and we're going to find the causes, their environmental causes. We're going to identify them and work to eliminate them.
Good, thanks. Thanks, Bobby. Jay, go ahead, please.
Hello, thank you, everyone. Thank you, President Trump, for signing this historic executive order directing your administration to use advanced artificial intelligence technologies to cure childhood cancer. By signing this executive order, the administration is advancing the NIH Childhood Cancer Data Initiative's coordinated pediatric, adolescent, and young adult rare cancer, first launched under President Trump's direction in 2019. When I was a young medical student in the 1990s, I had the privilege of spending a month in a pediatric cancer ward treating children with cancer. And I have to say it was the most difficult month of my life. I left for home every day in tears. Watching little children cope with a deadly disease is hard. They should be playing with their friends, going to school, living their best lives. But instead, they bravely face cancer. These are the bravest kids I've ever met. I have tremendous admiration for the scientists who devote their lives to finding cures for kids with cancer, for the doctors and nurses who take care of them, and for their parents who suffer alongside them, care for them, and love them. This year, nearly 9,500 children will be diagnosed with cancer in the U.S. In the mid-1970s, the 5-year survival for cancer was 58%. Today, the cancer survival rate for children with cancer is 85%. This is because of the tremendous investments we've made in treating childhood cancer, in researching it, and it's worth celebrating this achievement. But I say that 85% is still too low. We need to be at 100, whilst we still have a long way to go. The treatments these little kids undergo involve therapies like chemo and radiation that put them through hell. Even with 85% will be cured, the therapies themselves can cause health problems as kids age into adulthood. Nearly 60% of cancer survivors experience severe life-threatening complications in adulthood because of these treatments. And so we need better treatments so that we can raise the survival rate and reduce the side effects. This initiative builds on the CCDI's mission to gather data from every child, adolescent, and young adult diagnosed with cancer, no matter where they receive care. It aims to develop a platform and tools to bring together clinical care, research tools like molecular characterization and genetic information, tools that will improve preventive measures, treatment, quality of life, survival for childhood cancer. By uniting families, clinicians, and researchers, by harnessing the power of AI, CCDI will accelerate diagnosis, inform treatment, and develop the next generation of life-saving therapies. This is not about collecting data alone. It's about giving families hope. Today, we commit to taking this work to the next level. With this executive order that President Trump is signing, we're building a future where every child's data contributes to faster diagnosis. Artificial intelligence helps us uncover faster, more precise treatments, improve quality of life, and better survival. And finally, let me extend my sincere congratulations and gratitude to President Trump for his leadership and vision in giving us this opportunity to make America healthy again, to rigorously push the boundaries of science and bring hope to millions of families. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jay. It's very nice. Appreciate it. Director Kratsios, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Secretary Kennedy, for your leadership on this issue. I am thrilled that our MAHA strategy prioritizes utilizing AI in the fight against cancer, and that this executive order is putting a priority to this action. Thank you for your commitment, Mr. President, to the United States for maintaining its global leadership in artificial intelligence across models, data sets, applications, and to issue an AI action plan to do just that. Your foresight in the first term, leading you to establish the CCDI to gather, harness, and share data on childhood cancers, has positioned us today to leverage AI in a way we could never imagine before. With America's pioneering models, American researchers now have the best tools in the world to turn the CCDI data into the building blocks of life-changing breakthroughs. So I and my team at OSTP are thrilled to partner with our teams at HHS and NIH and with David to empower the development of gold standard applications for the pediatric cancer research and to play our very small part in trying to protect the health and happiness of America's children.
Thank you very much,
Mr. President.
David, please.
Thank you, sir. Well, first of all, I just want to thank Stephanie McMahon and Paul Levesque for helping to bring us all together here. For years they played villains on TV, but they're actually very nice people in real life. But it's because of your passion that we're all here today, so thank you for that. And thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership on this. First of all, you did have the foresight to create this childhood cancer database way back in 2019, and that's what's going to power the AI. It's going to give us the data to find all the patterns in. The other thing you've done is you've made it your policy of this administration to support innovation, to support infrastructure, to support energy. And because of that, we have an AI boom going on right now. 3.8% growth rate in the last quarter in GDP, and a big part of that is because of the AI boom that you've unleashed. So thank you, sir, for doing that. And I think that we can see today that this AI boom is not just going to be about dollars and cents, but about saving lives as well. We're going to get some miraculous cures out of this. So thank you to everyone who's here today.
Thank you very much. Good job. We just had a meeting, and Oz was at the meeting, and really was a dominant factor along with Bobby. And maybe you could just say a couple of words about our past meeting where we're going to be lowering drug prices by 50, 100, 200, even 500%, even 1,000. We have 1,000% also. We have one coming up next week, a big one, 1,000% reduction in price. Do you want to give just a couple of words on that, Oz?
It's a historic day. For the first time, we've had the magnitude of give from the pharmaceutical industry. One of their leading lights, Alfred Boula and his company Pfizer, agreed, something the president has been pushing on since his first term and has been calling me quite frequently on speed dial over this term to make sure that Secretary Kennedy and I would seriously engage industry. They have agreed to several important concessions. First, we will have most favored nation drug pricing in this country for everyone on Medicaid. So our most vulnerable populations will not be forced to pay 3 times or more, 5, 6, 7 times more for the exact same pills in the same bottles as it costs in other countries. That'll make it a lot easier for governors to manage their budgets and shows again a distinct passion that the president has for helping people who are most vulnerable. We've also gotten all new drugs to be released in this country to be priced at most favored nation, which means by the end of the president's term, 95% of all pharmaceutical drugs in America will be at most favored nation pricing. Again, no more discrepancies between what folks in other countries can buy their drugs for and what's being purchased in this country. Pfizer also agreed, as will companies next week when they come to visit this same White House, to onshore drugs to bring their production back into America so American workers will benefit as well. But at the same time, this is critical, it allowed Pfizer, and we believe for other pharmaceutical companies, to maintain their innovative edge. We want America to continue to find cures like the ones that saved the lives of some of the children that I'm looking at right now. Those beautiful faces and smiles are here because American innovation was not dulled, not blunted, but we can solve that need and thread the needle by also making healthcare affordable so Americans no longer, including children like this, be forced to make a difficult choice between groceries and pharmaceuticals. And I must say, Mr. President, since this morning, if you just look at the stock market, there's been support of this decision made by the CEO of Pfizer. Their stock has benefited. So I think it was the right thing for the company, the right thing for the policies of this administration, which is a pretty cool place to work. But most importantly, it's the right thing for the American people.
Thank you very much. And maybe we'll just finish it off with Linda, because she's been such an incredible cabinet member and done such a good job. Maybe you want to say something about your unbelievable daughter and son-in-law, because they've worked very hard on this.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to do that. I don't think that any mother could be any more proud of all of the efforts that Stephanie's made in support also of Paul. Stephanie first talked about this 10 or 11 years ago after Little Connor. And I remember one of the things that she said to me was, I really would like to somehow convene the people and the scientists who think outside of the box, because research is done in very standard terms. You do this, and yes, you have to do that. But she said, I really would like to tap into some of the most creative and inventive minds in the country to be able to look at research differently for pediatric cancer. And she did that. It took her about 10 years, and she kept tapping in and calling people, being pretty relentless about it. Driven herself by a mother's heart. And I couldn't be any more proud of the work she's done. I'm happy to stand by and be a supportive mom and be very proud of her today.
Thanks. Good job you're doing. Thank you very much, Linda. Okay, any questions, please?
Mr. President, as we inch closer to a government shutdown, this morning you said you might do a lot of layoffs. If DOGE is already reducing the federal workforce, why is it necessary to link more federal jobs cut to a shutdown?
Well, the Democrats want to shut it down, so when you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. So we'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, and the Democrats, they're going to be Democrats. As you know, this country, no country can afford to pay for illegal immigration, health care for everybody that comes into the country, and that's what they're insisting. And obviously, I have an obligation to not accept that. That would affect everybody. You know, when I see what we're doing with AI and all the plants that are opening up in the country, $17 trillion is coming. And if you compare that to Biden had, in 4 years, less than $1 trillion. We have $17 trillion, more than that. I think it's going to be much more than that, David. By the end of this year, I think it's going to be far over that. It's a record. It's already a record in 8 months. It's a record by a lot. And so we're doing well as a country, so the last thing we want to do is shut it down. But a lot of good can come down from shutdowns. We can get rid of a lot of things that we didn't want, and they'd be Democrat things, but they want open borders. They want men playing in women's sports. They want transgender for everybody. They never stop. They don't learn. We won an election in a landslide. They just don't learn. So we have no choice. I have to do that for the country. Yes.
You mentioned a deal with Harvard, Mr. President. What is that deal? Will they be paying the administration?
Well, we're in the process of getting very close, and Linda's finishing up the final details, and they'd be paying about $500 million, and they'll be operating trade schools. They're going to be teaching people how to do AI and lots of other things, engines, lots of things. You know, we need people in trade schools. I remember when I went to school, I had some people that weren't particularly good students, but they could take a motor or an engine apart blindfolded and put it back blindfolded, but they weren't too good at other things, and many of them ended up doing better than the people that were. So trade schools are very important, and we've lost trade schools. We used to have a lot of trade schools in this country. We don't have them anymore. We have tremendous plants opening, and we want to have people at top level for those plants, whether it's AI or whether it's automotive plants. You know, we have many automobile companies open their plants in the United States. They're all coming back for two reasons: tariffs, and I think they liked November 5th. You know, they liked the person that was chosen, and they're moving in from Canada, they're moving in from Mexico, they're coming in from all over the world. China is coming. They're all coming, and that way they avoid paying tariffs. So, you know, they're coming for that reason. So by opening up trade school, because we're going to need employees, we're going to need people with skill. And I think I can say, Linda, you feel the same way. By opening up trade school, this would be a giant trade school, series of trade schools. It would be run by Harvard. Now, this is something that we're close to finalizing. We haven't done it yet. But they'd put up $500 million. Interest and everything else would go to that account, meaning go to the trade school. And, you know, it's a big investment in trade school, done by very smart people. And then their sins are forgiven. So we have a good chance of getting that close. Yeah, please.
Mr. President Trump, thank you. I've been looking at this chart that you showed us earlier, since we left the Oval Office earlier. U.S. prices for brand drugs are 422% higher than in comparable countries. You know, I'm young, maybe I'm inexperienced, but I think a lot of Americans are wondering, how did we even get here, being one of the biggest buyers of drugs?
You got here by incompetent people sitting behind this desk. You had a lot of incompetent people. I did it, as you know, I started it in my first term. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cuts in history. We did all these things, and we had the best economy in the history of our country during my first term. And by the way, this is blowing it away based on what we're seeing. But we got it by having people allow that to happen. And as you know, I started the process, but then when COVID came, we focused on COVID, not on this. And I said, if I ever go back and do it again, I'm going to make this a primary thing, because other countries are paying a fraction of what we pay for the same exact drug, same exact pharmaceutical, everything. And I said, no, it's not right. And the drug companies actually came along. You know, don't forget, they make 30, 40, 50 million a year, these people. They're very smart. And they had a lot of people convinced that, you know, that's the way it has to be. They talked about research and development. We had to pay. I said, well, why isn't Germany paying? Why aren't other countries paying? And they always had a good answer. But it got to a point where I didn't like the answer anymore, and I said, we have to do this, and we did it. The team that we have with Oz and Bobby and Chris and all of the people that we had working on it, and I must tell you, Marty's been a big, wherever you may be, Marty, but Marty's been a big factor. We have a great team. There's never been a medical team like this, and I said, let's go do it. And then I did, as I said, I would bug them every single day, every week, because I said, we have to have, I mean, why should we be paying 10 times what another country's paying? And that was just an excuse, research and development. We do research and development. So now we're going to be paying whatever the lowest price is, we're going to be paying that price. So it's a great thing. But there won't be anything that can have the impact on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, anything where you need pharmaceuticals, medicines. The numbers are going to come way down. Even Obamacare, which is terrible, it's not been good, as you know. It's a weak form of health care. But it'll be better because the medicine's going to come in at a very low price. Yes, please.
Yes, Mr. President. It seems like every time you assemble your MAHA team and your cabinet members behind here in regards to health issues, it just keeps getting powerful. And I look at these young kids there and the weight that is on the world right now that you can lift by what you're doing. I've often said Trump could cure cancer and people would still criticize him.
That's true.
And it's true. What is your message to America that this potentially could bring us all together, get us on the same page and have unity? And I'd like to see if some of the kids or the parents have what it means to you to see President Trump get involved with this.
Well, we've made tremendous strides in cancer research, far more than anyone has done. And we have the greatest minds, the greatest people working on it. And childhood, they call it childhood cancer. It's a very specific thing. And we really made a lot of progress. I think something that's going to allow us to make a lot of progress is the money we're saving on pharmaceuticals. We'll be saving 500, 600, 1,000%. Nobody's ever heard of that. I told the story, you were here before, that when I was in the previous administration, my first term, I was so proud of myself because I'm the first president in 28 years that cut drug prices from beginning to end. So they went down, I think it was 1/8% or 1/4%, and I was so proud of that. I thought that was great. Now I'm cutting them 500%. And I will say this, politically speaking, the people understand. Otherwise, I wouldn't have won in a landslide. I get 97% bad press, and I won in a landslide, which tells you the press has no credibility. But I will say that what we've done has been a great tribute to the people that's standing behind me in different forms. Linda in education, different, but what she's doing in education, she's sending education back to the states. That's a big move. The states, you go back to Indiana, Iowa, I would say 40 states will be great. 45 will be, the 5% of them will be pretty good, and then you're going to have a Gavin Newsom and some other people that aren't going to do a good job, but we'll help them out. I want to help them out. Yeah. And we're going to have safe cities again. We're going to be very safe. We're going to be going to Chicago pretty soon because a friend of mine, a great guy, the head of the Union Pacific, he said, "Sir, you have to save Chicago. It's going bad. It's going bad fast, and it's a great city." He's right. It's a great city. I know it very well. And we have to save Chicago. So we're going to Memphis, Tennessee right now. We've had a home run in D.C. You can walk out. Brian, you got mugged here a long time ago.
Yes, sir.
And the mugger must have felt some pain because you're a tough cookie.
Well, he had a gun, and I wish I would have had Triple H with me as well.
Yeah. If he had a gun, all you can do is say thank you very much. Yeah, no, but it's everybody here. I mean, you were here in the room when I said to the reporters, who got mugged in the last year? And like half of the people raised their hand. Now, if you said who got mugged over the last 60 days, nobody. No killing, no nothing. And the restaurants are booming, the town is booming, it's clean. The National Guard actually went out and started cleaning all the crap out of the parks. The tents are knocked down. We had one that you said it was a blue tent, and you said it was a communist tent, right? See, we're going to have a communist mayor of New York, so, let's see how that works out.
And I've gotten a lot of feedback on that. Everyone's very appreciative of you removing that tent.
You told me about a blue tent, and I said, I can't be there because we knocked them down. But this was a very highly sophisticated group of people. that had permits and all the other thing. Well, the permit expired. We knocked it down. It took, 24 hours less, maybe?
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate you telling me that. No, we have a great thing going. The country is doing incredible. We are a hot country. The hottest. We're the hottest country in the world right
Do the
now.
parents of the kids have anything they'd like to say?
Yeah, that's a great question. Would you like to say something?
I would.
That's a good comment right there. That's the best comment you've made in a long time.
Mr. President, good evening. I'm Josh Armstrong. My name is Josh Armstrong. I'm from West Virginia, and I'm the father of this amazingly brave and resilient little 6-year-old, Laurel. Laurel was diagnosed with leukemia when she was 2 years old, just before her 3rd birthday. And we went on to watch as she spent months in the hospital fighting for her life, as she received blood transfusions and platelet transfusions, as she fought off one potentially fatal infection after another. We watched as her body swelled and became painful from steroids, and then as it became frail and weak from chemotherapy. And we watched and we wondered why there aren't better treatments available, and we wondered what might happen if she doesn't get the drugs she needs, and we wondered why isn't anybody doing more. And on behalf of myself and all the parents that have watched and wondered, we'd like to say that what you're doing today gives parents like me and children like Laurel the one thing that we most desperately need, and that's hope.
And Laurel's doing
that,
well.
and Laurel is, I'm happy to say Laurel's in remission today.
That's good. She looks so beautiful.
Thank you. She is beautiful.
You feeling good now?
That's for you.
You look so great.
Because of this bill, doctors are going to be able to get better treatments faster to patients like Laurel.
Big
And
difference.
because of you making children like her real children, not cases or statistics, but children like Laurel and all of these children here today, we have that hope. And we are so proud that you're standing with children with cancer and making it a national priority.
It's very nice.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We're with you all the way. How about you, back there, Dad?
Actually, I'd like my daughter to speak. Could we let her
I
speak?
like that much
Caroline
better.
would like to speak. She's
That's
lost
very
her
good. I'd like you to speak.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Carolyn Hendricks. When I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, a pediatric bone cancer. 11 years later, I'm now 16 years old, and I'm doing great. What you're doing today, Mr. President, means that kids like me will get better options and so much more hope for the future. This will help doctors use technology to find cures faster, match patients to trials more quickly, and give our families more control over our health. For kids, every day counts. This order shows that our lives matter enough to be first in line for innovation. On behalf of children and young adults with cancer, those still fighting and those in remission like me, and families who wish that they had more time together, thank you for making us a national priority. Mr. President, because of actions like this, kids like me have the chance to grow up, to chase our dreams, and to live full lives. And that is the greatest gift anyone could ever give.
Wow, that was so good. Your father could not have done that like you. You did a great, you did a big service, Father.
Yes, sir.
That's great. Where did you learn how to speak like that?
I've done lots of speeches for childhood cancer over the last few years, and I'm also in a theater program, so that
That's
helps a
great.
lot.
Well, good. That's a great job. Would anybody like to say something? Would anybody? Would you like to say something, honey?
Yes. I'm Eleni Myers. I'm 9 years old, and I had a blood cancer called leukemia when I was only 2 years old. I had to get treated at 7 different hospitals across this country, and I had to have 2 bone marrow transplants, one from my dad and one from my mom. And I had to spend many days and nights in the hospital getting pokies and yucky medicine. And me and my parents were very worried, and I had to go through those 7 different hospitals to find the best treatment that can make me better. And thank you, Mr. President, for making everything happen today. So kids like me and Laurel, we can still be living today and speaking.
We're better than any of us have done. We're doing lousy. We're not doing so well today. They're doing so good. That was fantastic. Thank you. And you feeling good now? Are you all better? You're pretty close, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you're going to do good. Anybody like to say something? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I've had a brain tumor since I was 4 months. Now I'm off all medicines. I'm a cancer survivor. I've had a brain tumor since I was 4 months, and I'm doing great. I'm 15 now, and I'm going to 10th
And you're
grade.
going to be a football player, offensive lineman. Fantastic. How about somebody else? I love hearing this. I love hearing you talk because you talk better than any of us, right, Jay?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I want to thank you all for being here. Amazing.
We would have missed this.
Thank you. But you know, we're doing a lot for you, and you're all going to be better very soon. I don't think you're going to need any of the help that we're giving. It's going to be for the future. But I want to thank you for being with us, and I'm going to bring them back to a room. We have a room where we have lots of hats and things in the back, and would you like to go back, and we'll pick some nice presents?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get rid of the wonderful people of the media. Do you like the media? They're nice, right? They have good days, right? They do, actually, they do. Thank you very much. That's beautiful. That's really good. And thank you. We're not going to top that, so I wanted to just thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. We've had some really good talks today on Gaza with both the Middle East representatives and kings and all of the top leaders in the Middle East. And we had also a very good conversation with Bibi Netanyahu, trying to get the hostages back, and we're trying to get the end of the Gaza situation. It's really bad, very bad. And we think it could happen. Maybe it could happen pretty soon. We want the hostages back. We want the bodies back. And we want to have peace in that region. So we had some very good talks. As you know, I had President Erdogan here of Turkey, and we had a great meeting today. I think we had a meeting that was very conclusive in so many different things that we wanted, things that he wanted, and that was good. We'll be announcing that sometime later. And he'll be making an announcement too. But we had a great meeting with Turkey, and they're a very respected president, and spent time. We had lunch, and we had a lot of good discussions. So those two things. And we have some executive orders today to sign that are very important for the country. And we'll start off with one that's a proclamation. And yes, sir. Want to do that, Will?
Yes, sir. So today is Gold Star Mothers and Families Day. This is an annual proclamation. This is to commemorate the fallen, those who have died for all of our freedoms and for our country, and for their families who have suffered such grievous losses. But this is a proclamation commemorating Gold Star Mothers and Gold Star families.
Yeah, and they're great people, incredible people. What they've had to go through. Very few people could have gone through this kind of thing. Gold Star. Okay, thank you very much. I'll put it over here, Steve.
Next, sir, we have an executive order on TikTok. From the first days of your administration, you've charged a team from your administration, led by Vice President Vance, with ensuring that we can preserve TikTok as a platform for the 170 million Americans who use it, while ensuring that their data is properly protected as required by law. With this executive order, you will be effectively bringing into effect the agreement that will save TikTok and ensure that it can operate safely and securely.
So this is interesting because I had a very good talk with President Xi, a lot of respect for him. Hopefully he has a lot of respect for me too. And we talked about TikTok and other things, but we talked about TikTok, and he gave us the go-ahead. You know, it's run by American investors and American companies, great ones, great investors, the biggest. You don't get bigger, I don't imagine. And maybe I'll have JD. JD was very much involved and in charge of it. And maybe I'll have you say a few words about the deal. He would report back, and the points of the deal, I think, are great for our country. So, JD, do you want to give it a little talk, please?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so thank you, sir, for your leadership and for your help. We really couldn't have done this without the president actually ushering this deal over the finish line. There was some resistance on the Chinese side, but the fundamental thing that we wanted to accomplish is that we wanted to keep TikTok operating, but we also wanted to make sure that we protected Americans' data privacy as required by law, both because it's the right thing to do, but also because it's a legal requirement of the law that was passed last year by Congress. So we think that we were able to do that. Of course, we're going to keep on working at it, but this deal really does mean that Americans can use TikTok, but actually use it with more confidence than they had in the past, because their data is going to be secure and it's not going to be used as a propaganda weapon against our fellow citizens. We're very excited about it. We appreciate the cooperation of everybody involved, and it's a big day.
And I think I can say that especially the young people, they really wanted this to happen. They did not want to have TikTok close. And I got, a little used to TikTok. I used it myself during the campaign, and it was very successful because you know how I did with the young voter. And Charlie helped me a lot too. And he said to me, you should go on TikTok. And it actually had, because we got record votes with the young voter, as you know, for the election. So I was a little bit prejudiced in that way toward TikTok. It was very good and very meaningful. But we have American investors taking it over, running it, highly sophisticated, including Larry Ellison. And Oracle, I guess, is going to play a very big role in terms of security, safety, and everything else. So we have very good controls. And literally, I would get a call from friends of mine who were fathers of young people saying, could you do me a favor? Could you get it approved, please? My son is driving me crazy. So we're getting it done, and they have a big audience, and we have great American investors. And here's your final copy. TikTok. Maybe if you want, we could take a couple of questions on TikTok, and then we're going to get onto something completely different. Okay? Yeah.
Mr. President,
Jeff?
Mr. Vice President, you mentioned that China was resistant. Can you describe where China is now? Are they fully on board with this?
They're
or is
on board.
there anything more?
I spoke with President Xi. We had a good talk. I told him what we were doing, and he said, go ahead with it.
On the algorithm, it's still being leased coming from China. Are you satisfied that there's no security concerns for the
Yeah, I am. I really am.
It would push disruptive.
The biggest reason is that it's owned by Americans, and very sophisticated Americans, and people that love the country, and very smart Americans too. So they don't want anything like that to happen. Yes, please.
Is there any operational relationship with Chinese entities or staff to execute the deal?
With who?
With the Chinese.
I don't think so. Not that I know. No, this is going to be American operated all the way. And great respect for President Xi, and I very much appreciate that he approved the deal, because to get it done properly, we really needed the support of China and the approval of China. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, now that Americans will have operational control, do you want to see the algorithm suggest more MAGA-related content prioritized?
I always like MAGA-related. If I could, I'd make it 100% MAGA-related. It's actually a good question, but I would, yeah, if I could make it 100% MAGA, I would, but it's not going to work out that way, unfortunately. No, everyone's going to be treated fairly. Every group, every philosophy, every policy will be treated very fairly. Thank you.
Mr. President, do you know the valuation? Do you know the American company is going to be valued in billions?
Well, they valued it very highly. They're paying a big number. Do you want to talk, Scott? Do you want to say something about value?
Well, I'll let the Vice President, and then
JD?
I can follow up.
And you'll say something.
Sure. Well, first of all, I would say all credit goes to the Secretary of the Treasury. Couldn't have got it done without Scott. Also couldn't have got it done without Sean Cooksey on my team, so thanks to them. The company will be valued around $14 billion. We actually think this is a good deal for investors, but ultimately the investors are going to make the determination about what they want to invest in and what they think is a proper value. The most important thing is that it does protect Americans' data security. It ensures TikTok is still accessible. And on this question of the algorithm, which we've heard this a lot, what this deal ensures is that the American entity and the American investors will actually control the algorithm. We don't want this used as a propaganda tool by any foreign government. We want to make sure that our people and our investors actually make these decisions based on what's good for their business as opposed to what's good for another government's propaganda arm. So That's what we've done with this deal. I think it's very good for the American people. And as the president said, young people love this. We actually want everybody to access this, whether they're MAGA or not. We just want it to be fair. We want it to be fair to everybody, and we think that's what's going to happen with this new arrangement.
Well, the U.S. government.
And just to follow up on the Vice President, there were two pieces to the transaction. The Vice President's office has worked since the spring for the commercial transaction between the investor groups, and then Treasury and a group including the Vice President's office were in Madrid 2 weeks ago to negotiate with the Chinese, and it was a result of President Trump's close relationship with Party Chair Xi that we were able to get this across the line. We created a framework for Party Chair Xi to agree, and then on the leaders' call, Xi and President Trump discussed the final arrangement. So it was 1-2, and that was the final piece.
Will the U.S. government get any kind of annual payment as a result of this deal?
Taxes. It's going to make money, and we're going to get a lot of money in taxes. And you know, China wanted to see this go. It's a great legacy for China too. And I thought President Xi was great in terms of his approval. We probably could have done it a different way, but it wouldn't have been the same. Wouldn't have been the same security at all. But I appreciated that he approved it.
So nothing aside from taxes. There's no part of the deal that is like a payment to the U.S. government.
Well, we're going to be announcing different things, but the U.S. comes out great. And I think China comes out great because they're going to have a very important legacy. And they have many other deals. You know, they have deals with us, and they have deals in here in this country. And, you know, they want to be treated fairly also.
So, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President, the U.S. company could change the algorithm to push different content? Is that...
The U.S. company will have control over how the algorithm pushes content to users, and that was a very important part of it. We thought it was necessary for the national security element of the law. We also just think it's important to protect American users. Again, we want users to use this platform the way they want to. We want the business to make decisions about content based on the interests of the business and based on the interests of the users, and that's what we think will happen with this new arrangement.
And they're paying a lot of money, and I think hopefully it's going to be a great deal. They're very sophisticated people. You'll see a list. Have you seen a list yet of the people? Well, you've been reading about it. I know Michael Dell's involved, and Rupert Murdoch's involved, and a lot of, and let's see, we have probably 4 or 5 absolutely world-class investors that love the country. They made a lot of money with the country, and many of them are in a somewhat related business, so it works out pretty well. And they're going to be very careful about all of these questions that you've been asking.
Who else beyond Dell and Murdoch?
Well, it's a blue chip group of investors, and we'll be announcing more about who exactly is involved in the deal in the days to come.
Oracle's playing a very big part.
That's right, sir.
And Oracle really understands this. And I think they're actually, and they've been involved for quite a while running it for the people, the previous people. And so it's really, I think it's going to be very well protected. Very, very prestigious deal, actually.
On that point, Mr. President, as the President said, Oracle has actually had a role in housing the data for a long time, even when the entity was controlled by the ByteDance organization in China. So Oracle had a pretty interesting perspective on what was necessary to actually create true data privacy protections for Americans. They were a very important part of getting this thing done.
Mr. President, you told us a couple of weeks ago you thought that the security concerns were overrated, but were there legitimate concerns when it comes to safety?
From my standpoint, no, because the people that own it are, you know, they're not China-centric, they're USA-centric, and they're very smart people. I guess you could say it about everything. Everything is what's secure nowadays. Things that you think are totally secure turn out to not to be. But I think in this case, it's going to be as secure as you can be because of the ownership and the people. And they have a big investment. You know, it's to their advantage to make sure it's good and safe. Yeah. Anybody else? Do you have a question? No, behind you.
Well, I just want to say, do you think this move and getting this deal done, Mr. President, do you think this honors the legacy, like Charlie Kirk, you mentioned that he specifically pushed you to get involved with TikTok in your campaign, helped you win young voters. Do you think this deal honors him?
Well, I think it's a good thing. It's a good sign. We're doing very well, as you know, with the trade deals. We're doing very well with China, and a lot of them. We were never treated properly. We were for 4 years, actually. but we were never treated very properly by other countries, and we're doing well. We've never done this well. We have, because of the tariffs that are coming in, the deals that are being made, $950 billion in one case. $950 billion, where previously they paid nothing. We have, as you know, in Japan it's $550 billion. South Korea is $350 billion now. That's up front. And one of the things I can say, I announced it lightly before, but we're taking in tremendous amounts of money with tariffs. We've never seen anything like it. No country's ever seen anything like it. I'm going to devote a little bit of that money, a little bit of the tariff money to our farmers. Our farmers have been incredible. They're the ones that let us survive and eat and enjoy our lives, right? Eat too much, maybe in some cases, like mine. But I will tell you, we're going to take some of the tariff money, relatively small amount, but a lot for the farmers. And we're going to help the farmers out a little bit, because during this transition period, a period where we're taking in incredible amounts of money, we'll have a little bit of a shortfall with the farmers until the tariffs kick in, because they haven't kicked in for the farmers yet. And I decided before, and I spoke to all of the people here, that I want to make a contribution out of the tariff money, a small percentage of it, but it's a lot for the farmers. It'll make the farmers feel very good, just help them through the transition. And ultimately, they're going to be making a fortune. They will be one of the top in the whole world in terms of percentage gotten from the tariffs we're taking in. But we have so much coming in, it's a very small thing. But I want to, in fact, just get the word out to the farmer, because they'll be struggling until the transition's complete. Then after that, they're going to do, I think, better than they've ever done before. Last time I said, get yourself a larger tractor and more land. And that was when they were doing very poorly, and they ended up doing that, and they did very well. That was with the deal we made with China. Unfortunately, Biden forgot about the deal, and he never enforced. I enforced it till the end, and China was very honorable. But when Biden came in, he didn't enforce it. So when you don't enforce a deal, they don't do it. So it's terrible. Biden was very bad to the farmers of our country. So we're going to be doing that. It's an honor to do it, too. Brian, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, what's your message to the millions of small businesses here in the U.S. that really rely on TikTok to reach their end user, to market their service and their product?
Well, thank you for that question, because honestly, we were getting hit up. They use it for virtual advertising, and they pay very little for it and nothing for it. And small businesses have become very successful because of TikTok. And we didn't think of that, when everyone's saying, oh, TikTok and this and that. But over the last 6 months, I was called by so many people saying they're going to go out of business if they can, because they use it virtually as a advertising tool. And without it, they wouldn't have anything. They wouldn't be able to get the word out about their good product or whatever it is they're selling. So it's a very important thing for small business. It's another reason I wanted to do the deal so badly. So let's go to another subject now, if we might, okay? And Will, please.
Ask you about farmers.
Yes, go ahead.
What does that look like? Is that going to be direct checks to farmers, or is it going to be?
Well, we haven't decided that. We'll be dealing with Brooke later, and the Secretary of Agriculture, and we'll figure out how to get money to the farmers. And again, this comes out of the large amount, hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money that's pouring into the country. The tariffs, remember when I said a long time ago, I said it's the greatest word, it's my favorite word in the world. Then I had to say, I was forced to say other things, and of course rightfully so, love, family, religion. So I think I put tariff number 5. I was forced because the fake news did a big number on me. It's one of those little, but let's say it's my 5th favorite word tariff. But it's making our country very rich. And when our country is rich, I'm able to help the farmers, and I'm able to help even other countries that are in trouble, But we're able to help people that are in trouble. Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, it's all a benefit of this tremendous amount. And I hear numbers coming in today, Scott, where the numbers were very high, right?
The economic numbers were off the charts, sir.
Unfortunately, right? Because this is the only country in the world where you announce great numbers and the stock market goes down. Because when you announce great numbers, they immediately want to take that success away by raising the interest rates. Why can't you announce great numbers and let them lower the interest rate so you can make numbers? This is the only country in the world. I don't know if you heard. Could you just tell them what the number was? And how
It was 3.88% growth, the biggest in years. And the important thing, as the president says, this is going to be non-inflationary growth, just like it was in its first term. So strong growth, low inflation, real wage gains. And to the question on small business optimism under President Trump last week hit a multi-year high. So small businesses, Main Street is back under President Trump.
But isn't it crazy? So I saw the market was down a little bit today. I mean, in all fairness, I don't feel guilty because we've set every record you can imagine. But it was down, and I say, oh, the numbers must be good. Meaning the growth numbers are phenomenal. And again, this is during, but a little bit of the heavy, the really success and the money pouring into our country through the tariffs. And I just say, why can't we have great numbers and lower the interest rates so we have even greater numbers? So people were saying, oh, the numbers are so good, they're going to have to raise interest rates. That doesn't have to happen. And there's no inflation. We have the only thing we have is great success. We're having unbelievable success. So the numbers are much higher than anticipated, except for by me and Scott and some of the other people. And they'll get a lot higher than that, too. But I don't want to, every time we have good numbers, say, let's take all the juice out by raising interest rates. It's so backwards. It's so backwards.
Well, Mr. President, they don't appreciate the importance of the third leg of your stool, because trade, taxes, and deregulation allows for significant upside growth without inflation. So eventually the people at the Fed will be able to focus on this like Alan Greenspan did in the 90s. You can have strong growth and low inflation, and I think we can get the stock market up, Wall Street, Main Street, both doing well.
And we want low interest rates. There's no reason that every time we announce these record numbers, these numbers are way above projections by, all the great geniuses out there. They knew this was going to happen. So they had 71 different people, and only 2 got it right. Me and another gentleman from, I think, my wonderful Wharton School of Finance, actually. So anyway, but I really want you to look at that. Every time we have good numbers, they say this is a good time because they're guarding against inflation that may happen in 2 years from now. We have to change our thinking. We should be rewarded for good numbers, not penalized.
So, Mr. President, is that 3.8? Is that the start of a 3% growth for the
Well,
entire year?
the number was projected at 2, because we're in a little bit of a transition period, but that transition period's ending faster than we thought on tariffs. The money coming in is much greater than people thought, and there's no inflation, essentially. There's no inflation. We just went through the worst inflation in the history of our country under sleepy Joe Biden. He was sleeping, and the inflation was really bad, worst ever. They say 48 years, I'll take that too, but I think it was probably the worst inflation we ever had because of spending and energy going through the roof and everything else. By the way, energy's way down. And you're going to really be impressed when you hear what happened today with President Erdogan of Turkey. I think it's great for both countries. I think it's great. We have great relationships with a lot of countries. And you may be even more happy when you find out, because we spoke with Bibi Netanyahu today, and we spoke to all the leaders in the Middle East, who are great people, and we're getting pretty close to having a deal on Gaza, and maybe even peace, which would be the first time in about, 2,000 years, I think? In the region, I'd say the first in, Steve, what would you say, first in 2,000 years, or maybe 1,000? Huh?
2 millennium.
It's a long time. Yeah, go ahead.
Did everyone agree to stop buying Russian oil?
I don't want to say that, but if I want him to, he will, yeah.
But he didn't think that.
Well, I didn't say, okay, you stop, but I believe you. I believe he will stop it, yeah.
Did you make a deal?
You know why? Because he can buy from a lot of other people. He can buy from a lot of other people. You know who really can't is Hungary. Hungary's got, they're landlocked, and they don't have a nice ocean where ships can sail in from all over the world. They have one pipeline coming. because I spoke with, he's a great guy, he's a great friend of mine, but, you know, that's a harder one for them. And Slovakia, too. They're sort of married to one pipeline. So I just don't want to have people go blaming them when, you know, we spoke to them at length today, and it seems like that, you know, for them it's a little, but that's not, Turkey has a lot of options. He's a great president, a very smart man, and he's going to take, he's going to do what's right. But we had a very good conversation having to do with the purchase of military equipment, etc. Any other
Would you
questions?
make a deal on F-35s, Mr. President?
I will be able to easily if I want. So we may do that, yeah.
But not yet.
Well, it depends. He's going to do something for us, yeah. Please.
The U.S. can have sanctions on Turkey.
Can I ask you, we're a few days away.
By the way, here we go with this guy. Go ahead, let's go. Let's hear the question.
We're a few days away from the end of the fiscal year and a potential shutdown.
Right.
There going to be a government shutdown?
Could be, yeah, because the Democrats are crazed. They don't know what they're doing. They want to have the border opened up so that criminals can pour in. You know, we're doing unbelievable borders closed and people are coming into our country legally. They continue to want to have men and women sports. They continue to want to have transgender for everyone. They want to raise everybody's taxes at a number that's not sustainable. It's the only time in the world I've ever seen a party that wants to raise taxes. You know, I grew up in a family where I'd watch politics, and I always liked it from the time I was very young, but I'd always see politicians say, we will lower your taxes. These guys, they campaign on raising your taxes, but they want to raise taxes very substantially.
The one thing they're concerned about, I mean, look, Republicans have total control of Washington. You guys have control of the House, the Senate, there's you.
Well, when you say control, so we need 60 votes for this, and we have 53 Republicans, so we need 7 Democrats.
And those 7 Democrats and others are asking for an extension of the tax credit on people who get the Affordable Care Act and some other government-backed health care. So are you willing to negotiate on that
Well, what they're
issue?
really asking for is they want to pay for illegal aliens that have come into our country by the millions and get onto the rolls, and they want to pay. And our people don't want to do that. Our people are taxed enough. You know, we just approved the largest tax decrease ever in the history of our country, including the extension of the previous Trump tax cuts. The tax cuts that we just approved, they want to use those tax cuts to give the money to illegal aliens, people that came into our country illegally and that are leaving the country.
So why not
you know, there's been a self-deportation because of what we've been doing that's been incredible. Okay, yeah, please.
Secretary Hegseth is inviting military leaders from all around the country on Tuesday. Will you also be there?
From all around the country to what?
To Virginia. He's inviting the generals and admirals to Virginia for a big meeting. They're not sure why.
Well, I know. I love it. I mean, I think it's great. Let them be friendly. Let them be friendly with the generals and admirals from all over the world. Why? Is there something? No, but is there something wrong with it?
What is it about? Will you be there personally as well? And what is it about?
Well, I'll be there if they want me, but why is that such a big deal? I mean, the fact that we're getting along with the generals and admirals from all. Remember, I'm the president of peace. It's good to get along. It's good. You act like this is a bad thing. Isn't it nice that people are coming from all over the world to be with us?
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President of the United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War. It's actually not unusual at all, and I think it's odd that you guys have made it into such a big story.
Is it a big story? I mean,
I don't think it is, sir.
I would think it's no, but isn't it a good story? I mean, you know, we're respected from all over the world as a military force. You know, I rebuilt the military during my first term, even though we gave a chunk of it away to Afghanistan. But we're talking Afghanistan too, by the way, about Bagram and about that. But that's a very small amount compared to what we rebuilt it by. But I rebuilt the military, and we're very respected. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world without question. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We're selling the equipment to other countries. And a lot of generals want to be here and they want to look at they're also going to be touring equipment sites. They're going to be talking about the newest weapons, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's great when generals and top people want to come to the United States to be with our now called Secretary of War. Does everybody like the name? I do.
You said something
Yeah,
really
please.
interesting this week about Ukraine, that you thought Ukraine could get back all the territory that Russia had taken.
Yeah, they have a shot at it because
What
Russia.
prompted you to change your thoughts on
Well,
that?
because I've been watching the way Russia's and what Russia's been doing. I'm very dissatisfied with what Russia's doing and what President Putin is doing. I haven't liked it at all. He's killing people for no reason whatsoever, and they are doing very poorly considering they have put it all out on the line. Their economy is going to hell. They're bombing the hell out of everything, and they're picking up a very little territory, if any. In fact, they're losing some territory. So I think it's been very bad for the reputation of Russia. This war should have been over. If this were our war, we would have had it over in 1 week.
But you didn't.
And they're getting into fourth year, Jeff. They're getting into the fourth year now. 4 year of fighting, and you see what they've taken. In the last month, they've taken very little, and you've been reporting on all the bombing, all the drones all over the place. 900 drones coming into certain areas like Kiev in one night. And with all of that work, they've taken over very little. So now I'm very disappointed in President Putin. I thought I solved 7 wars. In fact, we have a great leader coming. We have the Prime Minister of Pakistan coming and the Field Marshal. Pakistan Field Marshal is a very great guy, and so is the Prime Minister, both. And they're coming, and they may be in this room right now. I don't know, because we're late. And I said maybe they'd like to join they actually may be somewhere in the beautiful Oval Office. Yeah, please, behind you.
Quickly on Gaza, did you promise leaders this week that you would not allow Israel to annex the West Bank? Is that something that you?
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank. There's been enough. It's time to stop now, okay? Yes, please.
Jasmine Crockett recently.
Jasmine Crockett. Remember when I said, is she a relation to the late, great Davy Crockett? I don't think so. Jasmine Crockett, let me tell you, before you even ask, she's a very low IQ person. I mean, if we ever had to pass an aptitude test, that's the one should take one, because she shouldn't even be in the crowd. So I have no idea what you're going to, but I don't think we should waste our time. This is a low IQ person who I can't even believe is a congressperson, between her and Ilhan Omar and the group. You know, I met the head of Somalia. Did you know that? And I suggested that maybe he'd like to take her back, and he said, I don't want her. Okay, what else? Go ahead. Let's hear what Crockett said. Go ahead.
She compared ICE raids to slave patrol. I want to ask you.
To slave?
To slave patrol. I want to ask you if you think that there should be consequences for members of Congress who make these types of comparisons or use this type of language.
Well, I think she's gone over the line, and I think a lot of the people. Look, the Democrats have become radical left lunatics. They have policies that nobody's going to buy. And, I see what's going on in New York. We're going to have perhaps a communist mayor, because it's split up. You know, if the people would get together and have one candidate, they'd have, I think, a pretty good chance. But it looks like maybe they're not going to do that. But we're going to end up with a communist mayor. It's not even believable, my beautiful New York. When I left New York to become president, it was a great place. But it was the beginning of bad things, because we had de Blasio had just started as mayor, and I said, this guy's a real nut job. Went to Harvard to teach management. Can you believe it? He went to Harvard to teach city management, along with the mayor of Chicago, who went to Harvard to teach. The two of them are teaching how to manage a city manage it into hell, is what they do. But that was the beginning, and now we're going to go a step further. Now we're going with the communists. Can I be honest? I think it's the greatest thing to ever happen to the Republican Party. I really do. I think if a communist takes over New York City, I think that's a gift to the Republican Party. It's sad for New York, but it's a gift. And New York will recover, because sometimes you need a shock like that to straighten you out. But it's politically, it's probably a very good thing.
Mr. President, immigration, crime, and the World Cup, actually. So
That's a lot of questions.
You have a number of cities that are pushing back against your immigration deportation move, as well as your crime initiatives. Some of those cities,
I don't think they're very much pushing
some of those
back.
cities have World Cup games.
Yeah.
Seattle, San Francisco.
That's right. They're going to be very secure.
But could those games move if they don't cooperate with your crime?
Well, that's an interesting, I guess, but we're going to make sure they're safe. They're run by radical left lunatics and that don't know what they're doing. Look at Washington, D.C. I just got numbers. There's like no crime in Washington, D.C. You, Jeff, will not be mugged walking down the street. You can walk down the street with your family. You can walk down your street with your wife, your daughter, your son, and you're not going to be. We took out 1,700 career criminals that we're not allowing back. And we have this city in great shape. You know, there was a time when not long ago, when every single week you'd have at least one murder. And look what's happening with Washington. It's safe. I went to dinner in Washington just to prove a point. I gave a press conference in the middle of a street. I wouldn't say Secret Service was thrilled, but I did it, and here I am. Look, Washington, D.C. is such a great example of what can be done. We did it in 12 days. We made it very safe in 12 days, and now it's much safer than that. One other thing, I drove around Washington over the weekend, and I said, look at the difference. The grass looked great. Everything looked great. You know, we had a lot of our National Guard, and we didn't ask them to do it. They did it themselves. They're proud. They're great. And they were picking up paper. They were cleaning. The place looked really beautiful. So we have a great Washington, D.C. We, as you probably know, we're going into Memphis, and we're going into some other cities, and very soon we're going to go into Chicago. It will be safe for the World Cup. If I think it isn't safe, we'll move it into a different city. Absolutely, we'll take the World. If I think it's not, it's actually a very fair question. If I think it's not safe, we're going to move it out of that city. If, like the governor of Illinois, who is, you know, look, last week. Between last week and the week before, 11 murders, and 38 people were shot. Then he gets up and he says, this is a very safe, and then he says crime is better. The reason crime is better is because Kash put, about 5 months ago, a whole team of FBI people there to get ready for when we go in, and they've lowered it a little bit, you know, like 20, 25%, which isn't good enough, but it's a good start. But that was only put there because they're preparing for us to go in. And they've done, by the way, they've done a good job. So then Pritzker gets up, we've lowered crime 25. It's because the FBI was there. So, no, if any city we think is going to be even a little bit dangerous for the World Cup or for the Olympics, you know, where they have Olympic overthrow, right? But for the World Cup in particular, because they're playing in so many cities, we won't allow it to go to, we'll move it around a little bit. But I hope that's not going to happen, yeah.
I mean, Mr. President, Director Patel this morning indicated that the shooter in Dallas had been using an app to track ICE. Does your administration have any plans to take down those apps or get them removed or any?
Well, I can't tell you about that, but it tells you when they want to wear masks or they want to hide a little bit, why that's so important. But these are great patriots, the ICE, and what a tough job they have. What an unbelievably tough job they have. And think of it, what are they doing? They're taking hardcore criminals out of our country and putting them back. These were largely criminals that were given to us by Joe Biden and his group of radical maniacs that surrounded this desk, just like these people surround the desk now, but they're not maniacs, they're pretty solid people.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad I prefaced. But they're great. We have a great cabinet. We have great people. And he didn't have great people. He had terrible people. Look at Afghanistan. Look at the people he had running our military. That could happen. The most embarrassing day in the history of our country was Afghanistan. And 13 young people died. They don't ever talk about the 38 that were horribly wounded with legs and arms and everything else, really horribly wounded. So the country's respected like it's probably almost never been respected before. I think we're respected at a level, and a year ago it was a dead country. We had a dead country a year ago. This country was dying. It was really in bad shape. Let's talk about the next subject, can we?
One of the most powerful deterrents we have to violent crime is the death penalty. As you said, your administration has taken bold, decisive steps to ensure that Washington, D.C. is once again a safe and secure city for its residents and all who visit. This is a presidential memorandum that directs your Attorney General and your U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Judge Jeanine Pirro, to fully implement the death penalty here in Washington, D.C., where the evidence and facts of a case indicate that the death penalty should be used.
Okay? Everybody understand? Death penalty in Washington. You kill somebody, or if you kill a police officer, law enforcement officer, death penalty. And hopefully there won't be that. So again, it's way down. I mean, we have had week after week after week where we haven't had a murder. I said that the other day in front of the president of Poland. The press was here, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce that Washington, D.C. has not had a death in 4 weeks, a murder. And he looked at me and goes, is that good or bad? You know, he's saying, what kind of a place is this? But it's true for years. I mean, every week, essentially, somebody got killed or more than one. And this is a very safe city right now. We don't play games. And, you know, it's interesting. We took these careers out, career criminals. They call them careers. They left the word criminal out. But we took the careers out of here. And they're now brought back to their homes, or they're in jail, or they're in a jail in another country. And hopefully they're not coming back. And we have to maintain it. You can't just leave, and we have to maintain it. We've gotten along fairly well with the mayor. You know, she's getting a party that hates that the city's becoming safe. I mean, they're actually criticizing her because the city's becoming safe. But this is becoming this is right now a very, very safe city. This went from the most unsafe city in the country to the safest city in the country. There's no city any safer. That's a pretty big achievement. And we really did it in 12 days. But if you add an extra week to it, that'd be nice. And, I mean, you can go out to dinner. Restaurants are booming. You know, the restaurants were dead. They were dead. Even if you got to the restaurant, then somebody would come in and hold you up. You know, they'd hold up the whole restaurant. They go to Uber. Young ladies in the White House, they'd call Uber for protection. They'd run to the car because they were petrified to be from the entrance of their building to the car. Now they feel safe. They're in the car, and then the car gets hijacked while they're in the back of the car. This is what we were living in. We were living in hell. People that work in the White House, every time they see me, young women in particular, say, thank you, sir. And I don't even ask them about what. I know exactly. I made their lives. Now they're living in a beautiful, glamorous place called Washington, D.C. with no crime, and that's the way it should be. Okay? This is the death penalty for somebody that kills people in Washington, D.C. I think it's capital. It's a very interesting capital punishment, capital city. Right? It's capital. But this is our capital city. We can't allow that to happen. People come in from Iowa to look at the Lincoln Memorial and they end up getting killed. Doesn't happen anymore. It's not going to happen. And if it does happen, it's the death penalty for the person that did it. And this goes into effect.
Yes, sir.
Right? Pam, is that right? Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. Not only are we seeking it in Washington, D.C., but all over the country again. And as you saw very recently, we are now moving the inmates who were on death row, who Joe Biden or the auto pen commuted their sentences off of death row. We're moving them to supermax facilities where they will be treated like they're on death row for the rest of their lives, President Trump.
Okay, that's a big statement. Thank you very much. Okay. I see some of you shaking your heads very positively. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, fellas.
You said on the campaign trail that
it said it.
The death penalty if anybody illegal killed a U.S. citizen
That's
or a
right.
police officer. So this just reinforces your campaign promise.
That's right. And most people really like it. And Washington, again, it's going to serve as a beacon because you have to do it. These are bad people. When you look at that guy, the guy that killed the young lady in the train in North Carolina, that he'll be in trial for years and years, years. He'll get a good lawyer somewhere along the line. Somebody will come along, and what he did to that young lady, and she went into that train scared. You know, when she went in, the way she sat down, she was scared to just be there. She just wanted to not pay any attention to anybody, just not be noticed. And she had her throat slit. We don't want that in this country anymore. We're not going to have it in this country anymore. Thank you very much. Next.
Lastly, sir, this is a presidential memorandum on countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. In recent weeks, months, and years, we've seen a tremendous upsurge in some highly visible, but also other acts of domestic terrorism and organized political violence being perpetrated by radical, politically motivated groups all over the country. What this presidential memorandum will do is set off an administration-wide response to that, ranging from the Joint Terrorism Task Forces to other components of the Department of Justice, to the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Treasury. We're looking at interdicting these groups, preventing them from performing acts of violence, and also looking at sources of organization and funding and support that prop them up and allow them to do the acts that they have been doing.
We're looking at the funders of a lot of these groups, and you know, when you see the signs, and they're all beautiful signs made professionally, these aren't your protesters that make the sign in their basement late in the evening because they really believe it. These are anarchists and agitators, professional anarchists and agitators, and they get hired by wealthy people, some of whom I know, I guess, you know, probably know them. And you wouldn't know it. You're at dinner with them, everything's nice, and then you find out that they funded millions of dollars to these lunatics. Steve, could you say a couple of words?
Yes, Mr. President. This is a very historic and significant day. This is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, to dismantle Antifa, to dismantle the organizations that have been carrying out these acts of political violence and terrorism. What we have seen, if you look at whether it be going back to the riots that started with Black Lives Matter and all the way through to the Antifa riots, the attacks on ICE officers, the doxing campaigns, and now the political assassinations, these are not lone, isolated events. This is part of an organized campaign of radical left terrorism. It is structured, it is sophisticated, it is well funded, it is well planned. There is really no parallel like this to anything else in the country right now. There is an entire system of feeder organizations that provide money, resources, weapons, and when they're attacking ICE officers, they're attacking federal buildings, or they're isolating public officials for harassment, doxing, intimidation, and ultimately attempted assassination. It is all carefully planned, executed, and thought through. It is terrorism on our soil. Because of this executive order, Cash and Pam are going to have the tools they need, working with Scott, to take these organizations apart piece by piece. And the central hub of that effort is going to be the Joint Terrorism Task Force, or JTTF, which sits inside the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But for those at home who are worried about terrorism in this country, they need to understand, because of President Trump's strength, because of his vision, because of his leadership, we are now going to use the entire force of the federal government to uproot these organizations root and branch. And again, that's only possible because of President Trump and his leadership.
Thank you. Steve Cash, please.
Yes, as Steve was saying, Mr. President, thanks to your leadership, crime is going downward in a tremendous fashion, and that's what we want for every city in America. And the FBI's premier flagship enterprise, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, are honored to lead this initiative with our partners at Treasury and Homeland Security, because our citizens are being attacked by, as Stephen said, organized violence, and it's being paid for, not by them, by other people. So what we are going to do, combining forces as Scott and I have done in these last few months, is follow the money. People and organizations have collected funds and put them out into the streets of America and organized violence across our country. And thanks to your recognition of this and this executive order and the AG's leadership to lead out and prosecute these individuals, we are properly going to chase them down like the domestic terrorists that they are, and our streets and our communities are going to be safer because the JTTF and the FBI and Treasury and DHS and DOJ are going to combine forces like never before to root out this new evil that is perpetrating our criminal activities across our societies. And we are just so thankful for your leadership and recognition of it. It's not easy to do.
Good job. Thank you very much,
Who
Pam.
specifically do you want to target?
What?
Besides Antifa, is there a specific group or person you're targeting with this?
Any organized group.
Any organized
Any organized group who are committing these crimes, and we're working with the Secretary of Treasury. You know what law enforcement has told us under President Trump's leadership? He's taken the handcuffs off law enforcement. They can do their jobs now, thanks to you, President Trump, and that's what's happening. And all of these agencies that Cash mentioned, we work hand in hand together. Our prosecutors were following the money with Treasury. We're working with Homeland Security. Cash's agents, all of our agents, DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshals, combined, are working, and with state and local government, to take these people off the streets who are jeopardizing lives.
Can I just illustrate this? So I was talking with Cash and Stephen about this a couple of days ago, sir. So I believe it was in Oregon where you had a federal building where there were men in black ski masks who who are committing acts of violence, who are shutting down a government building. To the president's point, they don't come from nowhere. These are paid people. This is organized. They're committing acts of political terrorism on American soil. And it's time we had a government that looked out for the American people rather than the people who are committing violence against the American people.
When you go out to Portland and you see what's happening in Portland, this is like nobody's ever seen anything like it. Every night, and this has gone on for years. They just burned the place down, and you know the shop owners, most of them have left, but the few shops that are open, they just use plywood and just like 3/4-inch plywood. They don't put storefronts because they know it's going to be burned down. These are professional agitators.
That's right.
These are bad people, and they're paid a lot of money by rich people, some of whom we know. I'm sure I know some. I don't. If I knew, I wouldn't associate because I'll be in trouble because Pam will say, "Why are you associating with this person?" But I will tell you that these are bad people, and they're paying a lot of money, millions of dollars. But take a look at Portland sometime. These are wild. These are crazy people, and they're trying to burn down buildings, including federal buildings. And on my list of things that I want to do before we finish up with the cities, because I think we're going to whip the cities back into shape, and we have to. We cannot let our cities, and that's a small example, but it's the most violent example. It's every night, and they've done it for years. You'd think maybe at some point they made their point, and what are they doing? But we're going to get out there, and we're going to do a pretty big number of those people in Portland that are doing that. They're professional agitators and anarchists. They're actually anarchists, yeah. Go ahead, why don't you defend? Let's see you defend them, Jeff.
No, I'm not defending anyone. I just want, so that we can just explain this in our stories, could you name a couple?
You don't explain it right, though, Jeff. Go ahead, let's go. Maybe let's give you another chance. Go ahead.
Antifa, Soros, what names are we talking about?
Well, Soros is a name certainly that I keep hearing. I don't know, but Soros is a name that I hear. I hear a lot of different names. I hear names of some pretty rich people that are radical left people. Maybe I hear about a guy named Reid Hoffman. Somebody's a pretty rich guy, I guess, and I hear about him. I don't know. Maybe could be him. Could be a lot of people. We hear the same names, but they're bad, and we're going to find out. And if they are funding these things, they're going to have some problems because they're agitators and they're anarchists. These are anarchists. Really bad. Okay, yeah, please.
Can you, Mr. President, can you comment on
Who are you with? Who are you with?
I'm with the Center Square. Sarah Roderikovich is my name. Sarah, there's also, as you know, Antifa is not just a domestic terror, or now a domestic terror organization. It's also international. I know the Netherlands is looking at also designating them a terror organization.
Right.
Have you been working with your intel community and your DNI to possibly expand that to making them designated
Yes,
an
we have.
international terror
Yeah, we have been. Yep. It's an international. In many cases, it is international.
Mr.
Yeah.
on Antifa, if someone takes to the streets of America and says they're Antifa, what happens to them? What will happen to them?
Well, I'd say the maximum under the law, and we'll see. Now, if they kill somebody, we just signed a death penalty, so it depends where it is. But if they kill somebody, which they do, I mean, people are dying. You go out to Portland, people die out there. Many people have died over the years in Portland. Portland is, I don't know how anybody lives there. It's amazing. But it's anarchy out there, and that's what they want. They want anarchy, like when they attacked Seattle and took over a big percentage of the city. I was going to go out, and we were going to do a big number. They heard that, and everybody broke up all of a sudden. But, you know, you have governors that have to run that, and a lot of them don't do that. I don't like to go in. I'd rather have Pritzker's support when we go into Chicago. But if we don't have it, that's okay, too, because we're paramount, and we will do what we have to do. We're going to make Chicago safe. We're going to make we're going to make as many as we can, and usually that involves a surge. But what we did with, in the case of Chicago, by having the FBI go out there 5 or 6 months ago, we brought it down a little bit. You know, a little bit is 25%, so it's not so little, but it is when you're talking about the kind of crime and killings and murders that you hear in Chicago. But we're going to get it. Chicago's a great city. As the Union Pacific said, the head of the Union Pacific, who's a great guy, started off as a low-rung guy. He said he started at a caboose, and now he's the chairman of the Union Pacific. But he's a great guy. But he said, "Sir, don't lose Chicago." The way he said it, I said, boy, it really hit me. You know, here's a man that knows all the cities. The Union Pacific, I guess, is our largest railroad. and he knows all the cities. He's been doing it for 45 years, and he said, "Sir, don't lose Chicago." And the way he said that meant a lot to me. And we're going to go into Chicago very soon. We're going to take care of Memphis. We're going to take care of Memphis. You can't walk a block without getting shot. We're going to take care of that one, and just like we did Washington D.C. And we're going to do Chicago very soon. Yeah.
There could be an indictment on James Comey. Do you know if there is an indictment, or Madam Chair?
I don't know. I know it's going on because I read the papers just like you do, right? So I don't know. Do you have anything to say about that?
We can't comment on that.
Yeah.
Madam Attorney
Attorney
General, can you comment on a New York Times report saying that Justice Department officials have asked attorneys to target a George Soros-funded group? And is this executive order that you just signed a part of that effort?
I'm not going to comment on whether there is or is not a pending investigation, but everything's on the table right now.
I don't think anybody has to ask, because if you look at Soros, he's at the top of every. In fact, sometimes I say, could he be involved in this many things? But he's in every story that I read. Stories that I read keep talking about Soros, and so I guess he'd be a likely candidate. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and I'd like to ask Caroline, who's become very famous, big star, and she has a person who's a colleague of hers, a friend of hers, and that she has a lot of respect for, who comes from the area and knows exactly what's happening. Caroline, could I ask you to say a few words?
Yes, sir. Here we have Haryana, who is from the continent of Africa. She's been a reporter here in the United States for many years, and she has a story to share with the press, with the media, and with these two fantastic leaders who have joined you today. So, Haryana, please.
Why don't you come up here and talk so they can see?
Sure.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
It's a great honor.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, as Caroline has mentioned, President, first of all, I want to let you know that I'm the only African reporter accredited here at the White House and cover for the entire continent. So I just arrived from Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo, yesterday. I went to see firsthand how the people is feeling and the president's message, President Felix Tshisekedi, about this upcoming peace deal. And let me tell you firsthand what I witnessed myself. I spoke with the people on the street. I spoke with youth. They know your name. They know that our president named President Trump is working hard to finally bring peace to the country. I saw hope. They have hope now for a better day in Congo. They see what you're doing as a future, better future for Congo. And I had opportunity to sit down with President Felix Tshisekedi for an interview because I want to understand his mind, what he's thinking, his feeling about everything that your administration is doing. And he told me firsthand that for many years, many American presidents overlooked this conflict. They didn't do nothing. Even myself, I covered President Biden's administration. I pressed many times about this conflict. People are dying in Congo. This country has so much potential, but they need help because this war is destroying the country. They never gave me any answer. And he told me, President Tshisekedi, that you have no idea, he's very thankful for what you're doing, for what your administration is doing. Not only him, the entire Congolese people, they see that finally they will have hope. And President Tshisekedi also mentioned at the end of my interview that when peace finally comes to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, he's thinking to nominate you as a Nobel Prize Peace because he said you deserve, you have been working to bring peace in the world, not only at the Congo, and he's very hopeful to meet you in the future.
That's so nice. Boy, and that's so beautifully stated. And Caroline said, number one, she did say, and I shouldn't say this because it's politically incorrect, she said She's beautiful, and you are beautiful. I'm not allowed to say that, that could be the end of my political career, but I'll say it anyway. But you are beautiful, and you're beautiful inside. So I wish I had more reporters like you. You covered Africa for a long time?
Yes, for over 10 years.
Wow.
I covered even your first administration.
Yes, I know that. That's great. Well, thank you. That's so nice that you said that. Appreciate it.
And I have one more question,
Yes.
Mr. President. Since we know in July or in the future, both President of Rwanda and the Congo will be coming
Yes.
to the United States. In Africa, President João Lourenço, the president of Angola, he is also the leader of African Union.
Good.
He
Yes, I know.
worked very hard to bring peace, but unfortunately...
Let's get him here.
Yes, that's
Okay?
right.
Would you invite him for me?
Of course.
Okay? I know that he works very hard, and he's the head of essentially the union. So the union all over Africa, not the kind of union that we have. This is the union all over Africa, and I'd love to have him, so you'll let him know.
Of course,
Okay?
Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Good.
Mr.
Now you go back to where you belong, right? That's great. That was a great job. It's real knowledge and real heart, too. Congratulations. Okay. So we're here today to celebrate a glorious triumph, and that's what it is, for the cause of peace. And this is a long time waiting. The signing of a historic peace agreement between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Republic of Rwanda. The conflict has continued, and it's been going on for many, many years. It's been going from, I guess they say 30 years. The Great Lakes region of Africa for a long time, and maybe even a time before that. How is the Great Lakes region? Must be beautiful, right? Beautiful. Beautiful region, but they had a lot of war, right? A lot of fighting, a lot of death. It's displaced countless people and claimed the lives of thousands and thousands. But today, the violence and destruction comes to an end, and the entire region begins a new chapter of hope and opportunity, harmony, prosperity, and peace. That's been a long time waiting. I said, how long has the war been going? And a friend of mine who was very much involved said 30 years, and at least 6 million people were killed during that period of time. It's incredible. And somebody said that was actually, it's the biggest war on the planet since World War II. So it's a shame, but we're going to bring it to an end. I want to express my gratitude and congratulations to the representatives of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Republic of Rwanda, who signed this pivotal agreement a short time ago. They just signed right in front. And let me also thank Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who has worked very hard on this subject, and we've worked on it together, for his outstanding leadership, as well as Senior Advisor for African and Africa Affairs, Mossad Boulos, who's, as you know, spends a lot of his time in Africa, and he's very comfortable there. I said, were you at all uncomfortable with all of the turmoil and all of the killing? And he said, no, I wasn't uncomfortable, and that's what you need. You need somebody that's going to be able to get. So, Mossad, I want to thank you very much for the job you've done. Amazing guy, actually. I also want to thank African Union, Qatar, Togo, for working closely with the United States. And I know Qatar was really working hard. And African Union, we just spoke about that. And I look forward to having them representatives here when we do the official meeting, and that'll be sometime in July. And we look forward to it. And you better be here covering it, okay? You better. We're not going to stand anybody else covering it but you. But this is a tremendous breakthrough. In a few short months, we've now achieved peace between India and Pakistan, Israel and Iran, and the DRC and Rwanda, and a couple of others also. Serbia, was they were getting ready to go to war with a group I won't even mention because it didn't happen. We were able to stop it. But I have a friend in Serbia, and they said we're going to go to war again. And I won't mention that it's Kosovo, but it's Kosovo. But they were going to have a big time war, and we stopped it. We stopped it because of trade. They want to trade with the United States. I said we don't trade with people that go to war. And we said that also with, if you take a look at Pakistan and India, it was great. They have two great leaders, and they were able to stop. They were in the midst of a big a big fight, I guess everybody saw, and it was going to get very bad. And they are nuclear nations, very powerful nuclear nations. In the months and years ahead, my administration will continue to work closely with all of the parties in this deal and ensure the agreements are fully taken care of, and you're going to do what's in the agreement. We'll say you better do what's in that agreement, right? Because if somebody fails to do that, bad things happen. But I have a feeling that after 30 years, I think after 30 years you're all set. I think both of you have said that's enough, right? That's enough. Yeah. That's enough. You've seen it all. So this is a wonderful day. It's a great day. We've had some tremendous success. It's been a great week between just coming back from a very successful trip. NATO's really pulled together. They have. They're going to spend over $1 trillion a year. Nobody expected a thing like that to happen. And we had the war, as you know. We call it the 12-day war. It was exactly a 12-day war, and we ended up with no nuclear weapons. That's what we wanted. They were just absolutely blown to pieces, those 3 sites. And there's no nuclear weapons, and hopefully there can be a lot of healing, and the healing is starting. And it's been a really pretty amazing week, and this is one that I really look forward to. This was set up a few weeks ago, and it was something that I really look forward to. If we can do this, and we do that because we have a certain competence, that's good. We're able to get people to be peaceful. I think we can do war better than anybody, but we don't want to. And we have the greatest military in the world. They showed that in Iran. Those pilots, they flew for 36 hours. And think of that, and they hit their target. The size of this desk, half the size of this desk, from about 52,000 feet in the dark of night with no moon, 0 moon. They wanted it that way. Can you believe it? And they hit, every missile hit exactly half the size of this beautiful Resolute desk. We don't want to talk about it when it comes to rockets hitting it, but half the size of this, and they hit dead center from tremendous heights, going at tremendous speeds. It's amazing. Nobody could do a thing like that. Nobody has that weaponry, and nobody could do a thing like that. So we had a very busy and successful week, and in addition to that, our economy is doing great, setting records with the economy, and a lot of other good things happening. But this is about Congo and Rwanda. And I'd like to ask, if I might, would you say a few words before we introduce our guests, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes.
So, under your leadership, Mr. President, and the full support of Secretary Rubio and the entire team at the State Department, we engaged with the 2 parties in early April. And within 3 weeks, they signed the Declaration of Principles. And now, within about 2 months from that, we have signed today the final, this is actually the final peace agreement. You know, many people were wondering if this is preliminary. No, this is the actual final peace agreement that they've signed today. You've also expressed interest in inviting the heads of states to the White House for a signing ceremony. So there will be some other additional agreements that will be signed. In addition to this, which will become known as the Washington Accord, with regards to the Great Lakes region.
That's great.
There are some economic...
Why not the Trump Accord? I'm only kidding. It'll be headlines. No, I think that's a great name, Washington Accord. Beautiful.
And there's an economic aspect as well that is extremely important for both countries. They have also worked, last week we finalized the regional economic integration framework, which both countries will be signing at the White House here during that ceremony. And
that's going to be a great ceremony.
Absolutely.
Right? We're going to make that a great ceremony and bring other people that were involved, some other people, besides the gentleman we talked about who we know has worked so hard. If you think there are other people that are deserving, let us know. Okay?
Sure. And there will be some bilateral agreements. We're negotiating a minerals deal with the DRC for critical minerals. Many American companies have shown interest in investing in the DRC, and these we're talking about long-term investments. Same thing with Rwanda. Many American companies have shown interest, and not only in mining, but also in the midstream and downstream, which will be the processing of minerals. We're also working and supporting the Lobito corridor, which will help building the infrastructure. Just 2 days ago, the United States signed and supported a project of $1.5 billion for electric transmission from Angola to the DRC. And there are many other projects of that nature lined up. So we will be, under your leadership, Mr. President, will be working with the two countries very closely and with the support of Qatar to make sure that this agreement is implemented.
And a lot of our companies are in both of these countries now, especially since we've been getting along so well. It's probably the way we were brought together, and we have a lot of our big companies are there between rare earth and all of the other things that they do in Africa, which is very greatly expanding, especially in these two countries. You have earth, they consider it to be about the best in the world, actually, I've heard. So we're doing a lot of different things, and it's all going to bring everybody together. That's how this all began, I guess. But the big thing is, the big thing for me is really only one thing, and that's getting a peace treaty with two countries that have been fighting for 30 years. And I want to thank you all. Will, if you could,
Yes, sir.
you could bring the letters over.
Of course, sir. So in front of you, as you said, sir, these are the actual agreements that were signed respectively by the foreign ministers of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda earlier today, witnessed by Secretary Rubio. We've also prepared for you two letters. This is to President Paul Kagame of Rwanda, expressing your appreciation and congratulations for everything that's happened already, and of course inviting him to Washington for, as Dr. Bula said, what we hope will be the Washington Accords, finally setting the terms for peace and prosperity in this region, hopefully for a very long time.
That's great. That's beautiful. Very important. We're going to put a picture in there, right? As soon as this is over, they're going to put, we have a fast-moving photographer, Dan, who's going to put a nice picture of us here. Okay. Thank you. That's for you.
And this is a letter to President Chikisade of the Democratic Republic of Congo, again congratulating him on settling this long-running war and inviting him to Washington, D.C. for the final conclusion of the agreement, hopefully soon.
That's great. That's right. That's great. You take that pen, and you take that pen.
Thank you very much.
So I'd like to ask JD to say a few words, our great Vice President, and then Marco, and go ahead.
Great. Well, first, let me welcome the foreign ministers of Rwanda and Congo. It's great to have you in the Oval Office. And second, let me say congratulations to the President, Secretary Rubio, and the entire team. I think for the people of these two countries, they should know that the United States is committed to the pathway of peace. But to my fellow Americans, this is really a celebratory moment. This is a big moment for our country because under the President's leadership, we've taken what was 30 years of killing and war, the worst war in terms of death count since World War II, and now we're on a pathway to peace. And so if I think about what I know about these two countries, for 30 years, pretty much the entire time that I can remember these two countries being in the news, much of the story has been about them fighting one another, about them killing one another. And now we can look forward to a future where my children will look at this moment as the beginning of a new story, a story of prosperity and of peace. So thanks to the President, congratulations to the entire team, and to my fellow Americans. We should all be really proud because it's amazing what active presidential leadership can accomplish when it's geared towards peace and prosperity, and that's what we have in the Oval Office right now. So great job, sir.
Thank you very much, JD and Marco, and then we're going to ask the two principals to speak.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, first of all, thank you. When I first came on this job a few months ago, you made it very clear that one of the priority of this administration under your leadership is going to be the pursuit of peace. And from day one, whether it's been in Ukraine and Russia, whether it's been Pakistan, India, whether it's been Iran and Israel, and in the continent of Africa, your priority's been on peace. And today we see this come to fruition. It's sad. Wars get a lot more attention than peace. But peace is harder than war. A lot harder. And I want to congratulate both of the leaders here and their respective presidents for choosing the harder path, which is often peace, than the easier path, which sometimes is war, as costly and as bloody as it may be. And I echo the Vice President's statements, and that is that Americans should be very proud that the #1 voice for peace in the world today is our President, your President. And so thank you, President Trump. And I want to, again, recognize Dr. Boulos and the work he's put into this from day one. He's really put a lot of time and effort and as our friends from the respective countries can share with us. And last point, I do want to thank, you've done this already, but the African Union, Togo, and Qatar, who have been extraordinary partners and whose help we're going to need to continue to receive in order to bring all this to fruition. So congratulations to both of you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Great job you've done. Do you want to start? Either way. Would you like to start?
Ladies first, maybe.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, for having us here. I think I can summarize my contribution in 3 main points. First of all, thank you and congratulations indeed for this remarkable milestone, which is putting an end to 30 years of conflict and of suffering, and which is redefining the perspectives that millions of Congolese and of citizens of the greater Great Lakes region will have. The second point is stay committed, stay on board. We need the United States to make sure that this agreement holds and that you hold us accountable. And the third point is, if you stay on board, I think there are so many perspectives that we can transform our partnerships to, and that can usher in an era of prosperity, of growth, and of shared bilateral relationships that go well beyond the challenges that we've shared together, and that can at least, or finally, focus on the potential and of the wealth that we can share. So again, our heartfelt gratitude to you on my behalf, but more importantly, on behalf of the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Thank you so much.
Beautifully spoken, and I look forward to seeing your leader. A highly respected person, as you know, highly respected all over the world, but in Africa in particular. So sometime in July we'll do something, big ceremony.
We look forward to it.
Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This is indeed a historical day because it's the signing of a peace agreement between Congo and Rwanda to end a conflict that has been going on for 30 years. And there has been many mediation, facilitation in the past, but none of them succeeded. And we believe that it's because of your leadership and your steadfast commitment to this process, with also a new approach of economic integration, regional economic integration, which is important to allow Rwanda and DRC working together, because this is a very rich region with cross-border trade, with minerals, with natural wealth. So with the U.S. Standing side by side with Rwanda and DRC, we believe that we will achieve a long-time peace. And we also believe that, as my colleague from DRC stated, it's important for the United States to stay committed, because today we signed, but now we need to implement what we have signed in order to open this new era you were talking about of prosperity, so that we can reap the economic dividend of peace. So for this economic integration framework to be implemented, it's important for the U.S. to accompany the parties to implement what we have signed, because in the past we have signed so many agreements that were not implemented. And we are really, we believe that with your leadership, with the involvement of the United States administration, we will reach that goal. So thank you very much, Mr. President.
Well, this will happen, definitely. I can reach over. Do you want to just press them over to me? Let me have them. And I just wanted to give you each. These are your signed agreements. And we'll make sure that you follow through. We'll make sure you follow through. Yeah. We'll make sure that you follow through. Okay, that's for you. And we have one other thing that we're going to give, that we give to special people only. It's a coin.
Thank you.
And I hope you do that. I'm going to give you a second one for your leader.
Oh, thank you very much.
These are serious coins. You don't want to lose them. You'll be very. I think that your reporter from Africa should get one. What do you think? Is she around? I think yes. Are the reporters okay with it? Brian, yes? Darling, that's for you. Okay? You did a fantastic job.
Thank you,
And I heard you do a great job covering everything. Thank you.
And Mr. President, we actually have the pictures that you took earlier
Oh,
with
let
the
me
foreign
see
ministers
that.
here already.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you.
Let me see that.
They're in this folder right here, sir.
Okay, this one?
Yes, sir.
Oh, they look better than me. I don't like it. I don't like it. That's beautiful. That's very good. We have a good photographer. Beautiful. That's great. You better, I'll tell you, you better do the job here. We're going to come down. It's beautiful. Thank you very much. So we'll put them in. That's for you.
I can do that.
That's for you.
This is for the Congo.
And what is it?
For the Congo.
Yes. Okay. Let's see, we have two of them, I think so. You wouldn't give us one, you would have made a big mistake. Isn't that nice? That's for you. That's for you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. And you're all set, and this is for you. You're going to get this. Good. Might as well hold it.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions? No, not Canada. This is about Canada.
Why not? Why not
This
Canada,
is
by the way?
about- Why?
I mean,
Because this is about a different subject.
But
right
you're
now.
ending all.
This is right now actually a much more important subject. We just ended a war that was going on for 30 years where 6 million people died. So don't ask me a trade question on Canada.
Mr. President, Kara Castronova from Lindell TV. Now that your administration, and congratulations, has secured peace in Africa to a bloody, horrific war that's gone on for decades and no other president could do it, do you think the mainstream media will finally...
I love her, I'm telling you. But you're right, no other president could do it. They tried and they didn't even try, I actually don't think they tried. Do you think Biden tried? He didn't know he was alive.
Do you think the mainstream media will finally give you credit where credit is due?
No, the media will never give me credit. But the people give me credit. That's why I'm here. The people didn't give me. That's why we're here in a landslide. We got all 7 states. We won the popular vote. So the media won't give me credit, but the people give me credit. That's more important to me.
You're going to go down as a peacemaker. You're also going to go down with the president who had 0 border crossings in May. You secured the border most than anybody has ever done. But I don't know if you know this. You're on track right now to have the lowest murder rate in history in this country, and I think largely go to the fact we closed down the border. But do you want to comment on that? You might go down as the lowest murder rate in U.S. history, President Trump.
I saw that the other day, and that's an honor. I mean, and that's really even better because, we've taken a lot of illegals into the country through the Biden administration that are murderers, 11,888 to be exact. And many of them are now gone. We got rid of them. They're back where they belong. But so it's a great honor. If you took that out, the numbers would be even better. They created a lot of problems.
You Truth Socialed earlier about getting money to the air traffic controllers and the big, beautiful bill, which hopefully, praise God, we get this thing signed. What does that mean to that industry that has been suffering the last couple of years, probably a decade of being underfunding, and how that changed the safety of air travel?
Well, they've underfunded the airports for years, and I started the process of getting it completed in terms of the equipment necessary to land the planes, where the planes, like the helicopter accident with the plane, would have never happened if they had the right modern equipment. It would have been bells and whistles would have been going on all over the place. And I had that all set, but when I wasn't here, they totally dropped it. You had a terrible head of transportation. We have a very good one there, Sean Duffy. But you had Buttigieg, and he didn't know a damn thing. He'd ride to work on his bicycle. He didn't know what the hell was going on. He was terrible. So he totally dropped that. It was a project that should have happened, and I was all set. But we had a very sad experience with the voting. And so we didn't get to do that, but now I'm doing it, and we're going to have a great system. And it's funded partially by the bill. It's the initial funding is by the bill, and then it gets to be funded. The rest of it comes a little bit later as we build it out. But we're going to build out the best in the world. We have the best companies in the world. A couple of countries have very good systems. In fact, I noticed when I was landing, my pilot often would use the system of another country, and I said, "What are you doing that for?" He said, "The United States system is so bad." So we have the best companies that do that in the world bidding. You have Raytheon, you have IBM, you have a lot of different companies bidding, and we'll get the best one, the best system for the best price. And they're going to go to town and give us a system that will be better than any other system in the world. And you won't have planes bunking into each other at 35,000 feet.
On the subject of peace deals, how close are you and your administration to a deal in terms of Gaza ceasefire right now?
Often asked, and I think it's close. I just spoke with some of the people involved. It's a terrible situation that's going Gaza. He's asking about, and we think within the next week we're going to get a ceasefire. And we're supplying, as you know, a lot of money and a lot of food to that area because we have to. I mean, you have to. We're in theory not involved in it, but we're involved because people are dying. And I look at those crowds of people that have no food, no anything, and we're the ones that are getting it there. Some of it's being taken by some bad people. If you give it and you give it out, and they're supposed to be taking care of the people, and they end up stealing the food and selling it. But we have a pretty good system now. But so we're helping with that. You see the lines of people that just get one meal essentially, but. It's too bad other countries aren't helping out. Nobody's helping out. We're doing that because I think we have to on a humanitarian basis. Like this, we didn't have to get involved in Africa, but we did because we thought it was. I've been reading, like JD said, he's from much of his life he's been just seeing this about this brutal war, and it actually got a lot of publicity because of the level of brutality. Right? It was nobody's ever seen anything like it, and. To be involved in that, I consider this the most important of my conferences today. We just had a great Supreme Court victory today, and everybody would say that was big, but we're talking about saving thousands and probably millions of lives here. This is more important than anything. So it's great, but we're working on Gaza, trying to get it taken care of. And again, a lot of food has been sent there, and other countries throughout the world should be helping also.
And on another conflict that I know you've been working on, sir, is it true that you have reached out with a letter to North Korea's Kim Jong-un?
Well, if there is a conflict, I get along with him very, very well, and we'll get the conflict solved with North Korea. I've had a good relationship with Kim Jong-un, and I've gotten along with him really great, so we'll see what happens. But somebody saying there's a potential conflict, I think we'll work it out if there is. It wouldn't involve us, but again, we're very far away from a lot of these places that we're solving problems with. But I enjoy doing it, I like doing it, and it's the right thing to do, and we have an ability to get it done, so we're solving things that we didn't have a lot to do. Serbia, Kosovo, I told you, we solved a potential disaster. I can tell you that some of the countries that you're not going to hear about, but some countries that were ready to go to war with their neighbor are not going to go to war with their neighbor, and that's a great thing. We have a number of them. But I'm very happy about India and Pakistan because they actually have nuclear weapons. When you talk about Iran, they were trying to get it, but India has nuclear weapons, Pakistan has nuclear weapons, high-level nuclear weapons both, and getting that solved was really great. We did it through trade. So it was a great thing.
Mr. President, when it comes to nuclear weapons, Mr. President, are you concerned that the Iranians may have some enriched uranium at Pickaxe Mountain?
The last thing they're thinking about right now is enriched uranium. They're not thinking about what they want to do is they want to get back to life, and they do want to meet me, and we'll do that quickly. We're going to do it quickly. We'll have a
They said this morning that they don't want to meet with the U.S. Were they telling you something different in private?
They may say that to you. Don't you think they want to meet me? Don't you think we have sanctions on there that they can't do anything? Wouldn't you think that they want to meet me? They're not stupid people, but they went through a lot, and they suffered, and so did Israel. Israel suffered greatly. It was a nasty 12 days, and we'll see what happens.
Are you considering sending Patriot missiles to Ukraine? Have you made up your mind about that yet?
Go ahead.
Mr. President, there are a few unanswered questions that remain in this deal. For example, will Rwandan on this conflict? For example, will Rwandan troops pull back from parts of the DR Congo, and also will the M23 rebel group be allowed to remain in parts of eastern DR Congo? Do you have any answer to those questions?
Well, let me ask you that question. You want to answer that one? It sounds like an interesting question for you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. In the agreement we signed, we have taken the concept of operation for the neutralization of the FDLR, which is a vicious genocidal movement, and the lifting of Rwandan defensive measures. So this was already signed last year in November, so we will implement it. This concept of operation to do both things, to neutralize this movement, which has been destabilizing Rwanda for many years, and to lift our defensive measures. As for the M23, in the agreement also, we have decided to rely on the Doha talks, because there are currently talks between the AFC M23 and the DRC government to have a peace deal also that will complement the Washington peace agreement. So both things are taken care of.
Thank you. Mr. President, will the United States be enforcing this agreement or taking a
We're
role
really
in it?
working with them to get it enforced. They can enforce their own agreement, but we'll be putting a lot of pressure on to make sure it gets enforced. The two people in this room are very, very capable people, and they'll get it done. I think they'll get it done. They love their. One thing I learned very quickly is how much you love your country and you want to get it done. And they know it has to get done, otherwise bad things happen. But I think we're well beyond that. Other presidents should have done what I'm doing right now. They never did it. I don't think they ever tried. I don't think it's like they couldn't do it. I don't think they ever tried. And if they did, they wouldn't be able to do it anyway.
On the
Mr.
president,
President, if I,
yes.
yes, thank you. Mr. President, can you share with us what can happen if one of the parts violate this peace agreement? Because we don't want war to come back to DRC.
I'd rather not say. I would just say that there are big penalties if they violate, and they're not going to. I don't think they will violate. I think they mean it, but we have very severe penalties, financial and otherwise. Okay.
Mr. President, if we can circle back to your Truth Social post on Canada specifically, why are you deciding to end trade talks with Canada, and what rate are you looking to set?
So Canada put a charge on some of our companies, and Canada's been a very difficult country to deal with over the years. You know, we hear Canada, we have a great relationship with the people of Canada, but it's been very difficult, and they put a charge, and they were a little bit early, we found out about it. So, and we have all the cards, we have every single one. We don't want to do anything bad, but they have, economically, we have such power over Canada. I'd rather not use it, but they did something with our tech companies today trying to copy Europe. You know, they copied Europe. It's not going to work out well for Europe either, and it's not going to work out well for Canada. They were foolish to do it. So I said we're going to stop all negotiations with Canada right now until they straighten out their act. Okay?
Is there anything Canada can do to change your mind about this situation?
Well, no, they put a tax on companies that were American companies that they shouldn't have, very severe tax. And, yeah, I guess they could remove it. They will, but I don't really, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. We have all the cards. We have all the cards. You know, we do a lot of business with Canada, but relatively little. They do most of their businesses with us. And when you have that circumstance, you treat people better.